Chapter 34-39. The eternal fire essence was extremely important to the true Phoenix Maiden. Not only could it allow her bloodline to revert to its ancestral state, but it could also give her a chance to comprehend a trace of the fire heavenly Tao origin, and even break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. This was a great opportunity, so she naturally wasn't willing to give it up so easily. To others, the eternal fire essence might only be a slightly more precious origin source treasure. But to the true Phoenix Maiden, it was extremely important. She was extremely arrogant. The reason why she didn't make things difficult for Ling Xiao immediately was because she was afraid of the Heavenly Tao business alliance. Now that the Heavenly Tao auction had just ended, she immediately made things difficult for Ling Xiao. This eternal fire essence is a treasure that I obtained from the auction. Why should I give it to you? How dare you boast so shamelessly? If you want to die, I'll accompany you. Ling Xiao sneered coldly. The true Phoenix Maiden opposite him was a descendant of the immemorial royal family. She was extremely talented and had reached the peak of the 9th heaven of the immortal king realm, just like Ling Xiao. Many young geniuses were even willing to become her followers. She had long developed an arrogant and condescending temperament. But Ling Xiao didn't intend to spoil her. Ling Xiao, the eternal fire essence is useless to you. Aren't you going against me by taking away the eternal fire gold? If you know what's good for you, hand over the eternal fire essence obediently. I can give you 1 billion immortal origin stones. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The true Phoenix Maiden's eyes were extremely cold as she spoke in a cold voice. She was determined to obtain the eternal fire essence. True Phoenix Maiden, this is the creation immortal court, not your true phoenix nest. This is not a place where you can behave atrociously. Senior Ling Xiao is my esteemed guest. If you attack him, you'll be my enemy and my creation immortal court's enemy. Crown Prince Li Wuji glanced at the true Phoenix Maiden indifferently. Ling Xiao was his esteemed guest, so he naturally didn't want to see the true Phoenix Maiden being so arrogant. At this moment, the second Prince Li Wushuang smiled slightly and said, "My good brother, although you're the crown prince, when can you represent the creation immortal court and Lord Father? The true Phoenix Maiden is my esteemed guest." This Ling Xiao offended her, so why can't he take out the eternal fire essence as an apology? "My good big brother, you wouldn't offend the true Phoenix Maiden and the ancient imperial family because of this strange person, right? So what if you're from the ancient imperial family? This is the human territory, the capital city of the Fortune Immortal Court. Furthermore, Senior Ling Xiao is my esteemed guest. Fellow Taoist True Phoenix, you have a noble status, and you should keep yourself clean. Why are you doing such a thing? Aren't you being too arrogant and despotic?" Crown Prince Li Wuji said coldly. "Today the eternal fire essence is mine." The true Phoenix Maiden's gaze was incomparably cold. Unexpectedly, she was incomparably insistent. She directly blocked Ling Xiao's path. Rumble. Blazing flames rose around her body, emitting a resplendent glow. In the endless sea of fire, there seemed to be a mysterious shadow of a phoenix. Every flame seemed to be able to burn down a part of the world. Its aura was terrifying to the extreme. "I'm sorry, but even if you gave me 10 billion or 100 billion, I still wouldn't give you the eternal flame essence." Ling Xiao sneered as if he did not care about the true Phoenix Maiden at all. The eternal flame essence was of great use to the true Phoenix Maiden, but it was also of great use to Ling Xiao. He could use it to nourish the world tree in his primordial spirit. The world tree was a strange existence that could communicate with the eternal heavenly Tao origin. When the world tree was completely mature, it would be able to evolve a complete eternal heavenly Tao. At that time, he could use it to break through to the immortal Emperor realm in one fell swoop. Moreover, even if he could not use the eternal flame essence, given the true Phoenix Maiden's arrogant and despotic personality, he would not hand it over. "Since you're unwilling to hand over the eternal flame essence, let's fight. If I win, I won't kill you. I'll only cripple your cultivation. However, you must hand over the eternal flame essence." The true Phoenix Maiden said coldly. Her voice was filled with a kind of arrogance. It was as if not killing Ling Xiao, but only crippling his cultivation, was already a great gift. "What if you lose?" Ling Xiao sneered. "I won't lose. I'm invincible below the subimmortal realm. The true Phoenix Maiden's voice was indifferent, but it was filled with strong fluctuations of confidence. If you lose, I won't kill you. You'll be my maid and serve me well. Ling Xiao sneered. You're courting death. The true Phoenix Maiden's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Instantly, her palm pressed down on Ling Xiao. Blazing flames surged, forming a world of fire in an instant. It was ferocious to the extreme. Crown Prince Li Wuji's face turned cold. He did not expect the true Phoenix Maiden to be so arrogant and despotic. She did not even give him face. He was about to step in and block the strong enemy for Ling Xiao when the second Prince Li Wushuang stepped in front of him and blocked his way. My good big brother, what are you doing now? This is a battle between the two of them. It has nothing to do with the creation immortal court. Why don't you and I watch this battle? Li Wushuang smiled faintly, but he showed no signs of backing down. It was as if Li Wuji did not agree, he would attack Li Wuji. Good, very good. Wushuang, your talent is extraordinary, and your future is limitless. However, you should not ignore the interests of the creation immortal court. After today, I will go see my father and report what happened today to him. Li Wuji's face was extremely cold. He glanced indifferently at Li Wushuang, but he did not continue to attack. Crown Prince Li Wuji was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. After all, he had killed 4 celestial kings with a single sword strike. He had even killed a quasi-immortal emperor. His strength was unparalleled. Even if he really fought with the true Phoenix Maiden, Ling Xiao would not be in any danger. Instead, the true Phoenix Maiden should be the one worried. Rumble. Chaotic light rose around Ling Xiao, and immortal qi lingered around him. His eyes were incomparably sharp as he faced the flames in the sky and punched out. Crack. It was as if heaven and earth were breaking apart. The void shook violently, and the endless flames were shattered and scattered by Ling Xiao's punch. Ling Xiao's punch did not lose its momentum. It was as fierce as a blazing thunderbolt as it pressed down on the true Phoenix Maiden. The true Phoenix Maiden's eyes were incomparably sharp, and golden light shone around her. Behind her, qi and blood surged. Vaguely, there seemed to be a flaming phoenix that appeared, exuding an ancient and mysterious pressure. As the true Phoenix Maiden pointed her sword, the sharp finger light seemed to be able to shatter everything. At the same time, the flaming phoenix pounced towards Ling Xiao. The phoenix seemed to be the first true phoenix of the true phoenix nest. It exuded an incomparably terrifying pressure, and in an instant, it collided with Ling Xiao's fist. Rumble. Flames surged violently. If this was not a small world opened up by the Heavenly Law Business Alliance, this attack would have been able to shatter billions of voids. Ling Xiao and the true Phoenix Maiden were both geniuses at the peak of the 9th heaven of the Immortal King realm. Their combat strength was unparalleled, and both of them had the combat strength of a quasi-immortal emperor. Therefore, the battle between the two of them immediately became extremely intense. Rumble. Endless lightning rose around Ling Xiao's body, and divine chains of laws intertwined. He looked mysterious and unfathomable. It made him seem like a chaotic immortal demon that was born, and he contained endless power. He punched down again, and this time, it was even more ferocious than the previous punch. It directly blasted the flaming phoenix into pieces. Then, without losing its momentum, it collided with the true Phoenix Maiden like a bolt of lightning. Crack. It was as if 10,000 bolts of lightning struck at the same time. The true Phoenix Maiden's body shook violently as if she had collided with an ancient divine mountain. Her bones were about to fall apart, and she was suddenly sent flying. Her eyes were filled with incomparable shock. She had never thought that Ling Xiao's combat strength would be so terrifying. His physical strength was even stronger than hers. Was this still the incomparably weak human race? As the successor of the true Phoenix Nest, she had actually lost to Ling Xiao in terms of physical strength. This was simply a great humiliation. Kill. The true Phoenix Maiden suddenly roared. Blazing golden light rose from her palm, and a flaming immortal sword appeared. Sword chi swept across, and the void shook as if it could destroy everything. This was an extremely terrifying quasi-immortal emperor weapon, and it was also the true Phoenix Maiden's natal immortal weapon. It was called the Sky-Burning Sword. With the Sky-Burning Sword in her hand, The true Phoenix Maiden's aura became increasingly fierce, as if she had transformed into a primordial true phoenix. Hundreds of millions of sword lights swept across the sky like a storm and slashed toward Ling Xiao. Break! Ling Xiao also roared. The sky-swallowing sword appeared, and the incomparably sharp sword light instantly shot up into the sky. The sky-swallowing sword buzzed as if it was extremely spiritual. Strands of laws, orders, and divine chains intertwined. Hundreds of millions of sword lights swept across the void, as if they could shatter hundreds of millions of civilizations, shatter countless laws of truth, and turn into the origin of all things, the end of the world. It contained an extremely terrifying and eternal heavenly way aura. This was the most powerful sword of the three swords of origin. The Origin Sword. This sword seemed to be able to annihilate all things, shatter the world, and become the origin of all living beings in the heavens. It was extremely dazzling, and everyone present could not help but turn pale. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. This was because they recognized that this was a supreme secret technique, a forbidden killing technique created by an immortal emperor expert. It was extremely powerful. True Phoenix Boundless Sword Chi. The True Phoenix Maiden suddenly shouted, and also displayed a powerful emperor technique. The sky-burning sword light surged and blazed to the extreme. In an instant, it collided with Ling Xiao's sky-swallowing sword. Crack! The two sword lights, as if they were going to burn the sky and destroy the world, enveloped this small world. And the aura was incomparably terrifying. However, in the end, everyone found that the sword that represented the origin of all things suppressed the heavens, and was extremely sharp. It actually destroyed the True Phoenix's phantoms that filled the sky, and then ruthlessly slashed the True Phoenix Maiden's body. Puff! The True Phoenix Maiden suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and her face instantly turned pale. Her entire body flew out as if she had been struck by lightning, and crashed heavily on the ground in the distance. Her eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. She had lost. Chapter 3440. The True Phoenix Maiden was the successor of the True Phoenix Nest. The True Phoenix Nest was one of the top clans in the immemorial royal family. Therefore, her status was extremely noble. She wasn't any weaker than Crown Prince Li Wuji. Rumor had it that the ancestor of the True Phoenix Nest, the True Phoenix Immortal Emperor, hadn't died. He had just fallen into a deep sleep. Therefore, even the people of the Immortal Court didn't want to provoke the True Phoenix Nest. No one had thought that the True Phoenix Maiden would be defeated by Ling Xiao so quickly. This Ling Xiao is a bit interesting. He's only at the peak of the 9th heaven of the Immortal King realm, but he defeated the True Phoenix Maiden so easily. It seems that his true combat strength should be able to fight against a half-immortal emperor. Among the spectators, Di Hongluan's eyes flashed with a green light. She looked at Ling Xiao with interest. Little princess, you're right. This Ling Xiao is indeed not simple. His physical body is extremely strong. It's actually not weaker than the immemorial royal family. He's condensed it to the level of a body of laws. It seems that he must have refined many heavenly path source crystals, and has an extremely deep understanding of the eternal heavenly path. His foundation is extremely deep. He has the potential of an immortal emperor. The white-haired elder beside Di Hongluan said slowly. Hearing Grandpa Tree's words, Di Hongluan was a bit surprised. She didn't think that Grandpa Tree would have such a high opinion of Ling Xiao. Grandpa Tree was an extremely ancient figure. He was born in the Antiquity Age. He was even older than many immortal emperors. Although he was only a half-immortal emperor, his strength was unfathomable. In the past, Grandpa Tree had only said that the peerless geniuses of the Immortal Court were passable. Even her amazing brother, the Crown Prince of the Light Immortal Court, who had the light chaotic body, was only very likely to have a glimpse of the Immortal Emperor realm. Now Di Hongluan listened to Grandpa Tree's evaluation. He didn't hide his admiration for Ling Xiao at all. He seemed to be even better than her brother, who had light chaotic body. This made Di Hongluan more curious about Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. The True Phoenix Maiden roared. Her eyes were filled with monstrous anger. Rumble. Murderous intent rose around her. An ancient and mysterious power seemed to explode in her body. The mysterious true phoenix flames lingered around her, as if they wanted to burn this small world. She was completely enraged. As the successor of the true phoenix nest, she had actually been defeated so easily by Ling Xiao. This was not only a personal humiliation, but also a humiliation to the entire true phoenix nest. She had to fight to the death to protect the glory of the true phoenix nest. If you want to die, then go ahead, Ling Xiao said indifferently. The sky-swallowing sword in his hand emitted a sharp light. A sharp and chilling murderous intent locked onto the real Phoenix Lady. There was no fear in his eyes. It was as if the true Phoenix Maiden dared to attack again, he would immediately kill her. The Crown Prince Li Wuji and the second Prince Li Wushuang both wore unpleasant expressions. However, what they were considering was different. Crown Prince Li Wuji felt that if a true Phoenix Maiden were to die in the Celestial Court of Creation, it would be a huge problem for the unstable Celestial Court of Creation. The second Prince, Li Wushuang, had not expected the true Phoenix Maiden to be so easily defeated by Ling Xiao. It would be even more difficult to deal with Ling Xiao in the heavenly ancient battlefield. Boom! Ling Xiao and the true Phoenix Maiden's auras collided in the void. The void trembled violently as if it would be torn apart at any time. Gotcha! At this moment, a mysterious and ancient aura erupted, causing the void to tremble slightly. A handsome young man in a white robe instantly appeared between Ling Xiao and the true Phoenix Maiden. He exuded an aura like a spring breeze, as if it contained an incomparably rich vitality. The surrounding damaged land quickly recovered its vitality, causing flowers and trees to grow rapidly. The confrontation between Ling Xiao and the true Phoenix Maiden was also resolved in an instant. Gentlemen, this is the pocket world created by the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. If you fight to the death here, won't this pocket world be completely destroyed? The white-robed young man said with a faint smile. Ling Xiao and the true Phoenix Maiden could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. They had discovered that the white-robed young man in front of them was an extremely powerful quasi-immortal emperor. Moreover, he had easily resolved their attacks. It seemed like he was not as simple as a quasi-immortal emperor. At the very least, he was a mid-late quasi-immortal emperor. His strength was unfathomable, and he was not someone they could contend against. Moreover, although the white-robed young man looked young, his eyes were deep and filled with vicissitudes of time, as if they contained the vicissitudes of time and space. He was most likely an old monster who had lived for countless years. Greetings, great elder life. When the Crown Prince Li Wuji and the second Prince Li Wushuang saw this person, they bowed and greeted him respectfully. Both of them knew the white-robed young man's true identity. He was the true ruler of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance in the Fortune Immortal City. Legend had it that he was a supreme figure whose cultivation had reached the peak of the quasi-immortal emperor, and was proficient in the great Tao of life. Therefore, he was also known as the Great Elder Life. Your Highnesses, you don't have to be so courteous. If these two distinguished guests want to determine the winner, I have a way. I wonder if the two of you are willing to listen to me? Great Elder Life said with a faint smile. What is it? The true Phoenix Maiden said indifferently. Although she wanted to attack Ling Xiao immediately, she did not dare to be presumptuous in the presence of this powerful quasi-immortal emperor. The origin of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance was very mysterious, and its strength was unfathomable. It was even more powerful than the Fortune Immortal Court and the Truth Immortal Court. Even the immemorial royal family was not willing to provoke the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. It just so happens that the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance has an origin source Heavenly Tao tablet that corresponds to the Immortal King realm. If the two of you want to determine the winner, why don't you leave your name on the origin source Heavenly Tao tablet and see what rank you are ranked at? Great Elder Life said with a faint smile. The origin source Heavenly Tao tablet for the Immortal King realm? I didn't expect it to fall into the hands of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. At this moment, even Di Hongwan could not help but exclaim. Her eyes were filled with eagerness. First Elder Life glanced at Di Hongwan and saw the white-haired old man next to her. His eyes narrowed, and he looked at Grandpa Tree with respect. So it's the little princess of the Radiance Immortal Court. If the little princess is interested, you can also leave your name on the origin source Heavenly Tao tablet. If the rest of you are interested, you can give it a try. Great Elder Life said with a faint smile. Apart from Ling Xiao, the Crown Prince Li Wuji, the second Prince Li Wushuang, the Prince of the Dragon Emperor, the true Phoenix Maiden, and the others were dumbfounded. This was because they knew what the origin source Heavenly Dao Tablet represented. They also knew how powerful the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance was to be able to obtain control of the origin source Heavenly Dao Tablet. Chapter 3441. The Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet was a manifestation of the eternal Heavenly Dao, and contained the origin of the Heavenly Dao. If a supreme expert broke through the limit of cultivation and surpassed the Heavenly Dao, the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet would sense it and materialize it, leaving one's name on the Heavenly Dao Tablet. If one could break the limit of the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet, one might even have the chance to obtain the eternal Heavenly Dao's reward. However, even a quasi-immortal Emperor expert would find it difficult to restrain the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet. If the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance could restrain the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet of an immortal king, could it be that there was a true immortal Emperor expert in the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance? When they thought of this, they could not help but reveal a look of awe. Alright, thank you, Great Elder Life. It just so happens that I want to see the legendary Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet. The true Phoenix Maiden nodded. Her eyes shone brightly and were filled with anticipation. What about this little friend? Great Elder Life looked at Ling Xiao and smiled. I have no objections. Ling Xiao nodded in agreement. Ling Xiao, since Great Elder Life is here today, I will give him face and not kill you. However, if my ranking on the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet surpasses yours, you will give me the Eternal Fire Essence. If you can surpass me, I will give you a drop of true Phoenix blood. The true Phoenix Maiden gritted her teeth and stared at Ling Xiao coldly. She was still unwilling to give up the Eternal Fire Essence. Senior Ling Xiao agree. The true Phoenix blood is extremely precious to the true Phoenix Nest. It is one of the few drops of immortal Emperor blood left behind by the true Phoenix Immortal Emperor. If you can obtain it, not only will you be able to use it to refine your body, but you will also have the chance to comprehend a trace of the Heavenly Dao of Fire. Crown Prince Li Wuji hurriedly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao originally wanted to refuse, but when he heard Crown Prince Li Wuji's words, he nodded indifferently and said, "Shameless boasting. You think you can defeat me? If Great Elder Life hadn't stopped me, you would have died at my hands. However, since you are not convinced, I will make you admit defeat today. I agree to this bet." Very well. Since that's the case, let me be the witness. The Great Elder Life Spirit said with a smile. A strange light flashed in his eyes. Everyone, I will now take out the Origin Heavenly Dao Tablet. Great Elder Life said slowly. Rumble. A mysterious and powerful aura emanated from his body. A black token appeared in his palm. The token seemed to contain the origin energy of the eternal heavenly path. As he activated it, the world around him trembled violently. Chaotic light rose. Boundless sharpness was faintly discernible. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared above the 9 heavens. Crack. It was as if the heavens and earth had shattered. A crack as deep as an abyss appeared in the 9 heavens. Then, an ancient and powerful aura gushed out, and a simple and mysterious black stone tablet appeared in the sky. It emitted a vast heavenly might, and everyone couldn't help but tremble. Is this the Origin Heaven Dao Tablet? The eyes of Li Wuji, Li Wushuang, Prince Long, the true Phoenix Maiden, and the others were filled with astonishment and curiosity. This was their first time seeing the Origin Heaven Dao Tablet. It was rumored that after breaking through to the true immortal realm, the eternal heavenly path could manifest 4 Origin Heaven Dao Tablets, corresponding to the true immortal, immortal king, quasi-immortal emperor, and immortal emperor realm. However, since ancient times some of the Origin Heaven Dao Tablets had been destroyed, some had disappeared, and some had been imprisoned like the Eternal Heaven Gate. As such, almost no one had ever seen the real Origin Source Heaven Dao Tablet. The Black Origin Heaven Dao Tablet was like a chaotic divine mountain. It emitted an eternal and immortal aura, ancient and mysterious. There were 10 ancient and mysterious names on the Eternal Heaven Dao Tablet. Against the Heavens. Life Killer Lord. Deetsong. Nether King. Black Emperor. Qing Human King. Each of these 10 ancient and mysterious names had left an illustrious and brilliant name in the history of the eternal immortal domains. When the crowd saw the 10 names, they couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with horror. Black Emperor? Isn't that the supreme immortal emperor, who founded the Blackwater Immortal Court 30 Chaos eras ago? I didn't think he'd make it onto the Origin Heaven Dao tablet as an immortal king. The second prince, Li Wushuang, exclaimed. His eyes were filled with emotion. And then there's the Nether King. He founded the Nether Immortal Court, and dominated tens of thousands of Dao domains in the Eternal Immortal Domains 10 eras ago. I didn't think he'd make it onto the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, and be ranked 4th. Li Wuji said slowly. My grandfather made it onto the Origin Heaven Dao tablet? At that moment, Di Hongwan said in surprise. Her eyes were filled with shock. Everyone in the Radiance Immortal Court knew the name Di Tsang. He was also Di Hongwan's grandfather, the previous Radiance Emperor. Legend had it that Di Tsang was an unparalleled genius who dominated his generation. He'd been invincible among the younger generation of the Eternal Immortal Domains. However, he'd gone into seclusion tens of millions of years ago and hadn't appeared since. Many people in the Eternal Immortal Domains said he was in seclusion to break through to the Immortal Emperor realm. Others said he'd died. That's right. He's your grandfather, Lord Di Tsang. He's also one of the people most likely to reach the Immortal Emperor realm in this chaos era. Great Elder Life sighed softly and said slowly. Who are against the heavens and Lord Lifekiller? Di Hongwan asked curiously. Against the heavens is a figure from the previous chaos era. He's also known as the Eternal Celestial Emperor. Rumor has it that he's reached the peak of the Immortal Emperor realm. He's a genius who's no weaker than anyone else. He's said to be the most likely person to break through to the Immortal Emperor realm. He once broke the limit of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, which is why he's ranked 1st. As for Lord Lifekiller, he's a figure from our era. He's also known as the Killer Emperor. He's also incredibly talented and powerful. He's already a Dao Immortal Emperor, and is one of the top figures in the Eternal Immortal Domains. First Elder Life's eyes were filled with awe when he mentioned these two figures. I see. After hearing Great Elder Life's explanation, everyone came to a realization. At the same time, their eyes lit up with eagerness. They all hoped to leave their names on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. It was a supreme honor, and also a symbol of unparalleled talent. Once one was listed on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, it meant they'd be recognized by the Eternal Heavenly Dao. Not only would they be rewarded by the Eternal Heavenly Dao, but they'd also become famous in the Eternal Immortal Domains. It was an irresistible temptation to countless geniuses. Chapter 3442. The Origin Heavenly Dao steel will be suppressed by the Eternal Heavenly Dao, so all you need to do is to display your cultivation and talent as much as possible. Try your best to get close to the Origin Heavenly Dao steel, and place your palm on it. Only then will you have a chance to leave your name on it. If you can't even get close to the Origin Heavenly Dao steel, then it's almost impossible to leave your name on it. First Elder Life's eyes flashed and he smiled faintly. I'll give it a try. Second Prince Li Wushuang's eyes flashed, and he took the lead to step forward with a trace of pride in his eyes. On the day of his birth, he was surrounded by boundless immortal light and auspicious qi. Purple qi spread across 30,000 miles, and he was born with a longevity bone. In terms of talent, he naturally surpassed Crown Prince Li Wuji, so he was full of confidence that he would be able to leave his name on the Origin Heavenly Dao steel. Rumble. Li Wushuang was surrounded by dazzling immortal light and auspicious qi, as if there were bolts of lightning intertwining around him. His entire body was dazzling with golden light, as if he was cast in gold, and he exuded a dignified and ancient aura. In particular, there seemed to be a trace of heavenly Dao emanating from his body, which was daunting to look at. In the next moment, he leaped into the air and soared toward the Origin Heavenly Dao steel. Crack. The Origin Heavenly Dao steel seemed to sense Li Wushuang's aura and suddenly burst out with boundless light. Boundless Heavenly Dao power locked onto Li Wushuang and pressed down on him mightily. Li Wushuang's body trembled, and his body became incomparably slow when he was 10,000 feet away from the Origin Heavenly Dao steel. He felt as if the boundless heavenly Tao power of the entire eternal heavenly domain was supporting him. It was as if he was shouldering 10,000 immemorial divine mountains, putting him under great pressure. Open! Li Wuxuang shouted. His eyes were filled with arrogance and defiance. He was conceited that his talent was unparalleled, and he had the longevity bone in his body. He was the most talented genius of the immortal court of fortune, so he wanted to leave his name on the origin heavenly Tao steel. As Li Wuxuang circulated his cultivation, he seemed to be shrouded in a layer of invulnerable golden body aura, mysterious and profound. He walked step by step toward the origin heavenly Tao steel. 10,000 feet, 9,000 feet, 8,000 feet. Although Li Wuxuang's footsteps were slow, he was still getting closer to the origin heaven Tao tablet. Only after reaching a distance of 10,000 feet did he slowly come to a stop. At this moment, the vast heavenly might that erupted from the origin heaven Tao steel was almost tangible. It conjured various mysterious phenomena that constantly pressed down on Li Wuxuang. Even with Li Wuxuang's cultivation base at the peak of the ninth heaven of the Celestial King realm, it was useless in the face of the vast pressure. What the origin heaven Tao tablet tested was a person's talent and potential. It had little to do with one's cultivation. Li Wuxuang's glabella began to shine. His entire body was shrouded in a purple aura. Strands of origin aura began to spread out from his body. He stepped forward and walked towards the origin heavenly Tao steel. In the blink of an eye, he was 100 feet away from the origin heavenly Tao tablet. At this moment, even Li Wuxuang's complexion was deathly pale. His legs were trembling slightly. It was as if he was enduring an enormous pressure. I, Li Wuxuang, have unparalleled talent, and I'm destined to dominate the world. I'm destined to become a supreme immortal emperor, and lead the immortal court of fortune to dominate the eternal immortal domains. How could I possibly stop here? Li Wuxuang said slowly with a hint of madness in his eyes. Rumble. It was as if thunder and lightning were exploding inside his body. The longevity bone on his chest shone with immortal light, enveloping him completely. At this moment, even the origin heavenly Tao steel seemed to have sensed something, and was trembling slightly. Li Wuxuang instantly crossed the barrier, and walked towards the origin heavenly Tao tablet. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the origin heaven Tao tablet. Rumble. Endless thunderbolts rose around Li Wuxuang. The immortal light was like a sword radiance, constantly scouring his body, as if it was going to tear him to pieces. Standing in front of the origin heaven Tao tablet, Li Wuxuang felt so tiny. However, his eyes were unprecedentedly bright. Then he slowly stretched out his hand and touched the origin heaven Tao tablet. He actually approached the origin heavenly Tao steel. Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Even Crown Prince Li Wuji could only smile wryly. He knew that even if he personally took action, it would be very difficult for him to come within 100 feet of the origin heavenly Tao tablet. His younger brother's talent was indeed amazing. He had actually reached the origin heavenly Tao tablet, and was only a step away from leaving his name on it. I wonder if he can replace the 10 outstanding prides of the ages, and leave his name on the origin heavenly Tao tablet. Someone said slowly, his eyes filled with anticipation. The crowd couldn't help but hold their breaths and look at Li Wuxuang. Boom. Just as Li Wuxuang's hand landed on the origin heavenly Tao tablet, the origin heavenly Tao tablet blossomed with dazzling light. The longevity bone in Li Wuxuang's body seemed to have formed a strange and mysterious connection with the origin heavenly Tao tablet. Billions of immortal light bloomed as Tao flowers rose. In the end, a total of 36 Tao flowers floated down from the 9 heavens, and enveloped Li Wuxuang. At the same time, among the 10 dazzling names on the eternal heavenly Tao tablet, the last name, Human King Qin, disappeared and was replaced by a brand new name, Li Wuxuang. The crowd couldn't help but tremble, their eyes filled with incomparable shock. They didn't expect Li Wuxuang, who was the first to take action, to have such incredible talent. He had directly pulled down a pride of the ages and left his name on the origin heavenly Tao tablet forever. What kind of heaven-defying talent was this? He actually attracted 36 eternal flowers. As expected of His Highness Wuxuang, who could nurture the longevity bone. This talent is indeed amazing. No wonder he could replace the human King Qin. Great Elder Life Spirit also praised. She did not hide the admiration in her eyes. He also didn't expect Li Wushuang to be the first to take action and leave his name on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet. This could only mean that Li Wushuang's talent was indeed amazing. No wonder he was called Wushuang. Only 10th. Li Wushuang frowned when he saw the name on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet, a trace of disappointment in his eyes. He clearly wasn't satisfied with the result. Your Highness Wushuang, the 10 names on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet are all prides of the ages. They are the strongest of the countless prides of the ages since the eternal immortal domain's existence. To be ranked among them is already enough to laugh proudly at the world. You are one of the strongest in the world. First Elder Life spoke slowly. Well, I've already left my name on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet. Although I'm only 10th, I believe that no one can surpass me. Li Wushuang smiled proudly, then leapt back. He'd just left his name on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet, and the tablet had bestowed upon him a mysterious secret art. It was now branded on his longevity bone. This was a supreme creation that he would have to carefully comprehend. Everyone's gaze towards Li Wushuang was filled with shock. They had a feeling that after today, Li Wushuang's name would spread throughout the eternal immortal domain. He would become one of the top prides of the ages. Chapter 3443. Who wants to give it a try? If you can leave your name on the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet, you will be blessed by the eternal heavenly Tao. Grand Elder Life Spirit looked at the crowd and smiled. The crowd fell silent. The second Prince Li Wushuang's talent was too shocking. Moreover, the vast power that the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet was emitting made it difficult for them to even get close to it, let alone leave their name on it. Let me give it a try. Prince Long's eyes flashed as he said confidently. He was the successor of the Dragon Emperor Valley, and possessed the Dragon Emperor's bloodline. As for the Dragon Emperor, he was the founder of the Dragon Emperor Valley, and a powerful immortal emperor. He had once dominated an entire chaos epoch, and was invincible. As the successor of the Dragon Emperor, Prince Long's bloodline was close to atavism, and his talent was naturally terrifying. Therefore, he was confident, and wanted to give it a try to see if he could leave his name on the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet. Rumble. Divine light shone from Prince Long's body and lightning flashed. A vast and ancient dragon's aura spread out. He let out an earth-shattering dragon roar and instantly shot up to the sky, heading towards the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet. Prince Long was extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, he was already 10,000 feet away from the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet. Like Li Wushuang, when Prince Long was within 10,000 feet of the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet, the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet shone with dazzling light, and a vast aura pressed down on Prince Long. Prince Long instantly felt that he was so small in front of the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet. However, his eyes were filled with arrogance and defiance. He suddenly activated the Dragon Emperor's bloodline in his body. Blazing light bloomed, and bright golden light gushed out from his body. His entire body seemed to be made of gold. His speed became faster and faster, and he was even faster than Li Wushuang. In the blink of an eye, he was already 10,000 feet away from the Origin Source Heaven Tao tablet. The heavenly Tao coercion at 1,000 feet was even more terrifying. However, under Prince Dragon Emperor's powerful Dragon Emperor bloodline, his speed was only a little slower. Soon he was within 1,000 feet of the Origin Source Heavenly Tao tablet. Divine light flashed, and the cosmic laws intertwined. The heavenly ways might formed a hurricane that kept pressing down on Prince Long. Prince Long took a step forward while withstanding the violent pressure. His eyes were filled with arrogance and defiance. Prince Long's speed is even faster than the second Prince Li Wuji's. Could he also leave his name on the Origin Heaven Tao tablet? Everyone's bodies trembled, and their eyes were filled with shock and awe. The far ancient theocrats are indeed worthy of being called the far ancient theocrats. Everyone was looking forward to it. Perhaps Prince Long would be able to leave his name on the Origin Heaven Tao tablet. After an extremely difficult journey, Prince Long's speed became slower and slower, as if he was carrying a chaotic mountain on his back. He was surrounded by endless pressure and tornadoes, as if they were going to destroy his mind and tear his body into pieces. However, under such terrifying pressure, Prince Long still managed to reach the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet despite his pale face. He took a deep breath, stretched out his hand, and placed it on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. At this moment, everyone could not help but hold their breaths. Rumble! There seemed to be a vast and ancient dragon's roar coming from Prince Long's body, shaking the void. In an instant, a giant divine dragon, surrounded by endless immortal light, shot out from Prince Long's body and merged with the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. The Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet also shone brightly, and origin flowers fell from the Heaven Dao tablet, merging into Prince Long's body. The 10 names on the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet shone brightly, and they were trembling slightly. However, they gradually calmed down in the end. Although Prince Long was extremely talented, he had only managed to trigger 30 origin flowers in the end. He did not manage to leave his name on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. More than 30 origin flowers merged with Sun Long's body and became his foundation, allowing him to have a smoother path of cultivation in the future. Although he was rewarded by the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet, Prince Long's eyes were still filled with disappointment and unwillingness. He did not expect that he was not as talented as the second prince, Li Wushuang. He did not even have the right to leave his name on the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. This was a huge blow to the arrogant and unruly Prince Long. Prince Long did not say a word, and turned around to leave. "Your Highness, don't you want to give it a try?" Ling Xiao asked slowly, his eyes glinting. "Senior Ling Xiao, I won't embarrass myself. Even my talented second brother could only leave his name on the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. If I try, I'm afraid I won't even be able to get close to the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. At that time, I'll be a laughing stock," Crown Prince Li Wuji said with a wry smile. However, his eyes were filled with calmness, and he admitted that he was indeed not as good as the second prince, Li Wushuang. After Prince Long, more than 10 talented young geniuses and supreme geniuses went forward to try their luck. They wanted to get close to the Origin Source Heavenly Dao tablet and leave their names on it. However, without exception, they could not even get close to the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. Most of them stopped within 100 feet of the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet and could not advance any further. In the end, only the little princess of the Radiance Immortal Court, Di Hongwan, the true Phoenix Maiden, and Ling Xiao were left. Everyone's eyes fell on the 3 of them, especially the true Phoenix Maiden and Ling Xiao. Because of the bet between the 2 of them, they wanted to see who was more talented between the true Phoenix Maiden and Ling Xiao. However, they were more inclined towards the true Phoenix Maiden. After all, she was the successor of the true Phoenix Nest. Moreover, it was said that her bloodline was close to that of the true Phoenix Immortal Emperor. She probably had the chance to leave her name on the Origin Source Heaven Dao tablet. As for Ling Xiao, although his combat strength was extraordinary, there did not seem to be anything special about him. Moreover, they had never heard of Ling Xiao's name before. Therefore, they naturally thought that in terms of talent and potential, Ling Xiao was not as good as the true Phoenix Maiden. "Since the 2 of you have a bet, then let me go first." Di Hongwan smiled. She had been itching to try for a long time. Seeing that no one else wanted to try, she instantly flew up into the sky. Chapter 3444. Di Hongwan's body glowed with dazzling light. She was as dazzling as the sun. Her red dress fluttered in the wind. She was tall and slender, and her skin was as white as jade. She exuded an otherworldly aura. However, on her incomparably beautiful face, there was also an incomparably majestic aura. She had the bearing of a ruler, causing others to be intimidated by her. Di Hongwan seemed to have become the focus of the world, overshadowing the true Phoenix Maiden. Everyone's eyes fell on Di Hongwan. Their eyes were filled with shock. Even the true Phoenix Maiden looked at Di Hongwan with jealousy in her eyes. The true Phoenix Maiden recognized Di Hongwan. She was the little princess of the Radiance Immortal Court, one of the 4 immortal courts in the Central Immortal Domain. The 4 immortal courts in the Central Immortal Domain were the 4 most transcendent powers in the Eternal Immortal Domain. They were all supreme immortal courts with immortal emperors. Unlike the Creation Immortal Court and the Truth Immortal Court, Although their ancestors had immortal emperors and eternal emperor weapons, they didn't have a single immortal emperor in charge. The primeval theocrats had a deep foundation, but no one knew if they had any immortal emperors. In terms of strength, the 4 immortal courts in the central immortal domain were the most terrifying. Every immortal court had a true immortal emperor overseeing it. They were invincible in the world, and could suppress an entire primal chaos epoch. They were the absolute synonyms of invincibility and strength. As the little princess of the Radiant's immortal court, Di Hongwan's status was far above everyone else. When she came to the immortal court of creation, it was as if she had come to a remote village. Everyone was looking forward to seeing if the little princess of the Radiant's immortal court would be able to leave her name on the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet. Crack! Hundreds of millions of bolts of chaotic lightning flashed in the void. Boundless immortal light rose. Di Hongwan was surrounded by blazing flames. She was like a bolt of crimson lightning as she sped toward the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet. She was extremely fast. Outside the Origin Heavenly Tao tablet, the Heavenly Tao suppression at the 10,000 feet, 10,000 feet, and 1,000 feet were all different. Even the second Prince Li Wushuang and Prince Long felt the immense pressure and slowed down. However, Di Hongwan didn't slow down at all. In the blink of an eye, she passed through the layers of pressure and arrived before the Origin Heaven Tao tablet. SSS. Her speed is so fast. It seems like this little princess of the Radiant's immortal court is indeed very talented. I'm looking forward to it. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air and said. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Radiant Sovereign Physique? One of the 2 peerless geniuses of the Radiant's immortal court. No wonder she was so fast. Her talent was truly terrifying. She could be ranked at the top of the eternal immortal domains. I'm afraid less than 5 people in this era can surpass her in terms of talent. The first Elder Life Spirit's pupils shrank, revealing a trace of shock as she slowly spoke. He could see that Di Hongwan was emitting an infinite amount of light. It wasn't caused by her mana or techniques, but by her flesh, bones, and heart. All of them were emitting an infinite amount of light at the same time. It was as if she was the ruler of this world, mysterious and unpredictable. This was the Radiant Sovereign Physique. She could suppress all Daos and shatter everything. Her power was incomparably terrifying. She was a natural-born ruler with the bearing of a ruler. In the first Elder Life Spirit's opinion, if the Radiant Immortal Court didn't have a Radiant Chaotic Physique that was no weaker than the Radiant Sovereign Physique, this little princess would be the undisputed successor of the Radiant's immortal court. I hope I can surpass Grandpa. I hope I can surpass Grandpa. I hope I can surpass Grandpa. Di Hongwan stood before the Origin Heaven Tao tablet, feeling a little nervous. Especially when she saw the 3rd name on the Origin Heaven Tao stele. Her eyes were filled with incomparable excitement and agitation. Finally, she took a deep breath and slowly reached out her silver-white hand to touch the Origin Heaven Tao tablet. Rumble. Behind Di Hongwan, there seemed to be a dazzling sun rising. It bloomed with boundless light and dyed the world white. The dazzling sun seemed to be able to suppress time and space and shatter everything. It transformed into the eternal Heaven Tao tablet, and was extremely mysterious. It instantly merged with the Origin Heaven Tao tablet. Rumble. The Origin Heavenly Tao tablet trembled violently. It was even more terrifying than before. An aura that could destroy the heavens, and the earth erupted from it. The Origin Heaven Tao tablet shone brightly. Origin flowers floated out from the Origin Heaven Tao tablet, and merged with Di Hongwan's body. Those Origin flowers were densely packed like rain, extremely dazzling and dazzling. The 10 names on the Origin Heaven Tao tablet also shone brightly, and vibrated continuously. In the end, everyone saw Di Hongwan's name appear in the 3rd place. She replaced Di Tsang, the Supreme Celestial Emperor of the Radiant's Immortal Court, and pushed him down to the 4th place. Everyone was shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They looked at Di Hongwan with deep respect. She actually left her name in the 3rd place of the Origin Heaven Tao tablet, second only to Against the Heavens and Lord Lifekiller. Even Emperor Di Tsang, an immortal emperor of the Radiant's immortal court, was suppressed. Just how terrifying was Di Hongwan's talent? 999 origin flowers. 9 is the limit. As expected of the sovereign of Radiance physique. Such a person can probably be ranked in the top 3 of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. Great Elder Life Spirit said slowly. His eyes shone brightly as he revealed a sliver of excitement. He seemed to have made a decision in his heart. He looked at Di Hongwan with a burning gaze. If it weren't for the fact that there were 2 other people who hadn't tried yet, he would have charged at Di Hongwan already. At this moment, the second prince, Li Wushuang, had the worst expression. His face was about to turn green. This was because he was originally ranked 10th on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Now that Di Hongwan was 3rd on the Origin Heaven Dao stele, his name naturally disappeared from the stele. It wasn't easy for him to appear on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Although he was only ranked 10th, Li Wushuang was extremely proud. He thought that from today onwards, his name would spread throughout the eternal immortal domain. He would become a top genius, a supreme sovereign. At that time, even the Creation Immortal Court would give him priority when selecting the next emperor. But now because of Di Hongwan, all of this was ruined. If Li Wushuang wasn't afraid of Di Hongwan's powerful background, he would have rushed up and killed Di Hongwan with his arrogance. Even so, Li Wushuang looked at Di Hongwan with an ugly expression. Endless anger surged in his eyes. Whoosh! Di Hongwan returned like a red stream of light. When she passed by Li Wushuang, she gently patted his shoulder and smiled. Sorry, I pushed your name down. However, your talent is a bit too weak. If you could reach the 8th or 9th place, I wouldn't have pushed you down so easily. Di Hongwan's words made Li Wushuang's body stiffen. He almost vomited blood. However, he couldn't say anything. He could only turn his head away and not look at Di Hongwan. He was afraid that if he looked at Di Hongwan again, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from killing her. In the end, only the true Phoenix Maiden and Ling Xiao were left who had not tried. Chapter 34-45. Ling Xiao, I will leave my name on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet today. The eternal fire essence is mine. The true Phoenix Maiden glanced at Ling Xiao arrogantly, then shot into the sky and headed for the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Swoosh! A piercing sound rang out, like the cry of a phoenix. Blazing flames rose, and the golden light was dazzling. An ancient and mysterious phoenix flew out from behind the true Phoenix Maiden, exuding towering flames as if it wanted to destroy everything. That ancient and powerful aura caused everyone's bodies to involuntarily tremble. At this moment, even Prince Long's expression turned solemn. Although he was the successor of the Dragon Emperor Valley, his bloodline was only very close to the Dragon Emperor's. In fact, he was still very far away. However, the true Phoenix Maiden's bloodline had most likely reached the level of the true Phoenix Immortal Emperor. Even if it was just a little bit off, it wouldn't be too far off. This was the bloodline of a true Immortal Emperor. How powerful and terrifying would her talent be? The true Phoenix Maiden seemed to want to compete with Di Hongwan. Her speed became extremely fast. With the support of the true Phoenix Shadow, she was like a ray of red divine light, instantly piercing through the heavenly Dao suppression, and arriving in front of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Boom! She slammed her palm on the Origin Heaven Dao stele. Endless divine light blossomed as the dazzling true Phoenix Phantom behind the true Phoenix Maiden erupted with endless power. It soared into the sky and merged with the Origin Source Heaven Dao stele. The Origin Heavenly Dao stele trembled violently and shone with dazzling light. Millions of rays of immortal light bloomed, and the Dao flowers surged. One by one, the Origin flowers floated down. In the end, a total of 49 Origin flowers fell down. The 49 Origin flowers floated down from the void, and shrouded the true Phoenix Maiden. At the same time, the 10 dazzling names on the Eternal Heaven Dao tablet shook violently. The last name, Black Emperor, slowly disappeared. It became a new name, Huang Aoshuang. This was the true Phoenix Maiden's real name, and her name was forever branded on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Seeing this, the true Phoenix Maiden didn't look happy at all. Instead, she looked a little upset. After all, Di Hongwan's name was ranked 3rd on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, while she was only ranked 10th. This meant that in the eyes of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, her talent and potential were far inferior to Di Hongwan's. The true Phoenix Maiden's expression was incomparably cold. She turned into a stream of light and instantly returned. She looked at Ling Xiao and said coldly, "Do you still want to try? I'm afraid that with your talent, you won't even be able to get close to the origin source Heavenly Tao tablet. If you obediently hand over the eternal fire essence, I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite later." She almost vented all her displeasure and jealousy towards Di Hongguan on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently and said, "How would you know if you don't try? However, when my name surpasses yours on the origin Heaven Dao steel, you will obediently become my maid." Ling Xiao's expression was calm and indifferent. He ignored the true Phoenix Maiden's furious and murderous gaze, and leapt towards the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. Everyone's gaze fell on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was the last person to try to leave his name on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. Everyone had different expressions. Some thought that Ling Xiao's battle strength was so extraordinary that he could easily defeat the true Phoenix Maiden. His talent was also extraordinary, and he might even be able to leave his name on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. However, some people thought that although Ling Xiao's battle strength was strong, his talent and potential were much inferior to the true Phoenix Maiden's. Even the true Phoenix Maiden had only left her name at the 10th position on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. Ling Xiao would definitely not be able to leave his name on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. In fact, there were quite a few people who held this view. Only Di Hongguan and the elder beside her looked at Ling Xiao with interest. Ling Xiao exuded an ethereal and indifferent aura. Immortal light swirled around him and chaotic light filled the air. He walked in the air and didn't move quickly. Every step he took left a footprint as he walked towards the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. Although he didn't seem to be moving quickly, he approached the origin source Heaven Dao tablet with ease. 10,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 100 feet, and finally arrived at the bottom of the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation. After all, Ling Xiao appeared to be too relaxed. That kind of ease even made many people who thought Ling Xiao would definitely lose feel a trace of anticipation and confidence. Could Ling Xiao really leave his name on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet? Although the true Phoenix Maiden looked cold and arrogant on the surface, she couldn't help but clench her fists tightly. Clearly, she wasn't as calm as she appeared on the surface. Rumble. Ling Xiao placed his palm on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. In an instant, chaotic light rose as if billions of suns had exploded at the same time. Behind him, there seemed to be endless chaotic fiend gods fighting. Countless worlds fell and mysterious scenes of time and space being destroyed. In the end, everything returned to chaos. Amidst the endless chaotic light, there was a mysterious world tree rooted in the chaos. Its leaves were luxuriant, and each leaf was nurturing an ancient world. The world tree pierced through the chaos. It was ancient and eternal, mysterious and unfathomable. After the Tree of World appeared, the origin Heaven Dao tablet started to tremble violently. Boundless immortal light was faintly discernible, and boundless origin energy surged violently. A vast heavenly Dao ocean seemed to appear above the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. Origin source flowers floated down densely packed. It was unknown how many there were, but all of them enveloped Ling Xiao, almost drowning him. The 10 names on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet trembled violently. Against the Heavens, who was ranked first, instantly fell by 1 place. Ling Xiao's name was ranked first on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. He was ranked above Against the Heavens and became the true number 1 on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. It was as if Ling Xiao's figure was the only thing left in their minds. That invincible and mysterious figure, who could pierce heaven and earth, who could suppress the 8 Desolaces and sweep through the chaos, would forever be branded in everyone's hearts. First place on the origin source Heaven Dao tablet, even more talented than Against the Heavens. This meant that the origin source Heaven Dao tablet recognized Ling Xiao's talent and potential. He was the undisputed number 1 in the eternal immortal domains for countless chaos epochs. What an honor! One could only imagine that after today, Ling Xiao's name would spread throughout the eternal immortal domains like a rising sun. No one would be able to stop him. Chapter 3446. Rumble. Ling Xiao stood under the Origin Heavenly Dao stele, surrounded by lightning and divine light. Auspicious qi rose and vast immortal light spread out like colorful clouds. At the same time, various mysterious scenes of immortal beasts, fiend gods, and the myriad of worlds appeared behind him, causing him to emanate a vast and ancient pressure of the heaven Dao. The origin flowers merged with Ling Xiao's body, making his aura stronger and more unfathomable. It was as if he had become one with the eternal heavenly Dao. He felt like he was floating in the air, and was about to leave this world. The origin flowers were the purest heavenly Dao origin. At this moment, the origin flower had completely fused into Ling Xiao's body. Although it didn't allow his cultivation base to break through directly, it allowed his foundation to grow stronger. In the future, even after he broke through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, his strength would still grow stronger. At the same time, a vast and mysterious torrent of information merged with Ling Xiao's mind between his eyebrows. Crack! Blazing chaotic lightning rose, and the golden light was dazzling. The torrent of information turned into a golden scripture. It was profound, ancient, and mysterious. When Ling Xiao completely merged with the scripture, a trace of shock appeared in his eyes. Great Change Heavenly Dao Technique. This was a supreme technique given to him by the Origin Heavenly Dao stele. This supreme technique was very mysterious. It wasn't an immortal emperor secret technique, nor was it a powerful immortal path remarkable ability. However, it was very unique. It could transform the power of the heavenly Dao for one's own use. At the same time, it could absorb and devour other people's heavenly Dao origin. The Great Change Heavenly Dao technique was extensive and profound. Although Ling Xiao only had a preliminary understanding of it, he could already feel that this secret technique was very important to him. Moreover, as the vast origin flowers merged with Ling Xiao's body and his primordial spirit, his comprehension of the Great Change Heavenly Dao technique became faster and faster. He seemed to have sunk into a state of comprehension. The light of origin energy around him rose, giving off an aura that made everyone tremble. How can he have such great talent and potential? He actually jumped to first place on the Origin Heavenly Dao stele? Even against the heavens was completely suppressed. Di Hongwan's eyes widened in disbelief. She possessed the supreme radiant physique, so naturally, she was incomparably arrogant. Although she had paid attention to Ling Xiao previously, she did not think that Ling Xiao could surpass her in terms of talent. Now that Ling Xiao had displayed his unparalleled talent, she was deeply shocked. The second princely Wushuang, Prince Long, and the true Phoenix maidens' faces darkened. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The three of them were supremely talented, but they still felt a great sense of defeat in the face of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. This was especially true for true Phoenix maiden. She was so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. She had just managed to leave her name on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Although it was only 10th place, it was still very impressive. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao would be able to overwhelm the 10 peerless figures and become the undisputed number 1 on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet? Naturally, the true Phoenix maiden was pushed down, and her name disappeared from the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. She was so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. Looks like I made the right choice. Royal Uncle really has a discerning eye for talent. Crown Prince Li Wuji's eyes were bright, filled with shock and excitement. Even he did not expect Ling Xiao to have such heaven-defying talent and potential. First place on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Such talent was unprecedented. In this way, as long as Ling Xiao did not die in the future, he was destined to become an immortal emperor expert. Crown Prince Li Wuji felt extremely fortunate to be able to befriend such a person. At the same time, he was even more determined to treat Ling Xiao well. He had to tie Ling Xiao to the immortal court of creation at all costs. Perhaps Ling Xiao was the key to restoring the immortal court of creation's ancestral glory. At this moment, the most shocked person was Life Grand Elder. He had already noticed Ling Xiao's extraordinariness. He had summoned the Origin Heaven Dao tablet to test Ling Xiao's talent. In his opinion, Ling Xiao's talent was extraordinary and should be able to enter the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to give him such a huge surprise. Ling Xiao had directly reached first place on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, and even suppressed heaven. Such heaven-defying talent made him feel shocked and incredulous. However, the light in his eyes became even more resplendent, becoming extremely scorching. He looked at Ling Xiao as if he was looking at a supreme treasure. As long as I can convince him to join the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance, I might be able to obtain that supreme fortune. Ling Xiao might also be able to reach the top of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Great Elder Life Spirit thought to herself. She immediately made up her mind and made her decision. No one dared to disturb Ling Xiao's cultivation. Everyone was shocked into silence. Ling Xiao stood beneath the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Strange phenomena rose around him. Origin flowers swirled around him, and the vast and mysterious heavenly Daos might made them feel a trace of fear in their cultivation. Looking at Ling Xiao's figure, they felt as if they were looking at a rising sun that would illuminate the eternal immortal domains. His peerless bearing was unparalleled. Even the arrogant and conceited second prince, Li Wushuang, couldn't help but wonder if it wasn't worth making an enemy out of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao stood beneath the Origin Heaven Dao tablet for 3 days and 3 nights, and the mysterious phenomenon lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days later, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes. 2 bolts of lightning flashed in his pupils, piercing through the void and destroying everything in their path. Around him was a black hole that devoured everything, devouring all of the Origin flowers in the blink of an eye. His cultivation was still at the peak of the 9th level of the Immortal King realm, and he had yet to break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. However, everyone could sense that Ling Xiao's aura had become even more mysterious and extraordinary. His entire being seemed to radiate a transcendent aura. No matter where he went, he seemed to become the focal point of heaven and earth, dazzling and eye-catching. Everyone couldn't help but feel ashamed of their own inferiority. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, congratulations on reaching the top of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Your talent is unprecedented, and I'm afraid it won't be long before news of it spreads throughout the eternal immortal domains. This old man has a few things to discuss with fellow Taoist Ling Xiao. Would that be all right? First Elder Life Grand Elder stepped forward and smiled at Ling Xiao. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't expected First Elder Life Grand Elder to address Ling Xiao as a fellow Taoist. Chapter 3447. One had to know that First Elder Life's cultivation was top-notch. Even the Fortune Emperor Lord had to show some respect to him. Even Crown Prince Li Wuji and Second Prince Li Wushuang had to greet First Elder Life as a junior. However, considering that Ling Xiao had reached the top of the Origin Heaven Dao steel and possessed such heaven-defying talent, it was not surprising that First Elder Life chose to interact with Ling Xiao as an equal. Sure. Ling Xiao's eyes glinted as he nodded his head and said. He could sense that First Elder Life didn't have any ill intentions. Moreover, if First Elder Life hadn't taken out the Origin Heavenly Dao steel, he wouldn't have been able to ascend the steel and obtain such great fortune and opportunity. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, please follow me. First Elder Life smiled as he led Ling Xiao into the depths of the pocket world. Although everyone was curious as to why First Elder Life was looking for Ling Xiao, they didn't dare to ask. Moreover, the Heavenly Dao auction had already ended. It wasn't appropriate for them to stay any longer, so they quickly left the pocket world. Only Di Hongwan's eyes shone brightly. She looked at Ling Xiao's back with an unconvinced expression. She pondered for a moment, and decided not to leave immediately. She wanted to wait for Ling Xiao, but she didn't know what he was planning. In the depths of the Heavenly Dao pocket world, Ling Xiao and First Elder Life sat facing each other at the peak of a mountain range that reached into the clouds. First Elder Life took out a teapot and brewed 2 cups of immortal tea with the source of life. He placed 1 cup in front of Ling Xiao. These are some tea leaves that I planted in my spare time. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, please have a taste. Perhaps it will have a different flavor. First Elder Life said with a smile. Ling Xiao could sense that First Elder Life had something to ask of him, but he wasn't in a hurry. He picked up the cup of life immortal tea and took a whiff. He immediately felt a mysterious aura flowing through his body, as if he had become one with the heavens. He drank the cup in 1 gulp, and a vast and majestic energy flowed through his body. Ling Xiao's cultivation improved by a few notches. Moreover, when the tea entered his throat, It was incomparably sweet and lingering. Good tea. Ling Xiao couldn't hide his praise. I'm glad you like it, fellow Taoist Ling Xiao. I still have some stock here that I can give to you. The first Elder of Life smiled and gave a white jade teapot to Ling Xiao. Great Elder Life, I won't accept a reward for nothing. If you have something to say, just say it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and did not directly accept the white jade teapot. Since that's the case, I'll be frank. Great Elder Life said with a smile. I wonder how much fellow Taoist Ling Xiao knows about the Heavenly Tao Commerce Union? Great Elder Life's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Heavenly Tao Business Alliance? But I have heard some rumors. It was said that the Heavenly Law Business Alliance controlled a vast amount of wealth in the eternal immortal domains, and that their strength was unfathomable. Almost every major power had a branch of the Heavenly Law Business Union in their territory. Moreover, there seems to be a supreme immortal emperor overseeing the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. Ling Xiao said slowly. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao is right. However, my Heavenly Tao Business Alliance will probably face a crisis that's about to erupt. Great Elder Life Spirit nodded. She then sighed softly, and her eyes were filled with worry. Crisis? Given the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's strength, I'm afraid there aren't many people in the eternal immortal domains who can pose a threat to you. Ling Xiao asked curiously. That's right. With an immortal emperor overseeing the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, it's naturally impregnable. However, what if the immortal emperor of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance is no longer around? Great Elder Life Spirit seemed to have no intention of hiding the truth from Ling Xiao. What? Ling Xiao's entire body trembled, and his eyes flashed with a sharp light. The immortal emperor of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance was said to be unparalleled in strength, standing at the pinnacle of the eternal immortal domains. Who could possibly pose a threat to him? Ling Xiao's mind spun as he thought about why Great Elder Life Spirit had called him here. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, I'll tell you the truth. The immortal emperor of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance has met with an accident. Therefore, the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance needs to elect a new alliance leader to take charge of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. You should understand that without an immortal emperor overseeing the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance will become a juicy piece of meat in the eyes of countless factions in the eternal immortal domains. Everyone will want to take a bite out of it. This is the greatest crisis facing the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. Great Elder Life sighed softly. Her expression was very sincere. Great Elder Life Spirit, is there anything I can do to help the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance? Ling Xiao asked slowly. That's right. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, I'd like to invite you to join the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and compete for the position of Alliance Leader. Great Elder Life Spirit said slowly. What? You want me to compete for the position of Alliance Leader? Great Elder Life Spirit, I'm afraid you're taking this too lightly. You don't know anything about me. Yet you're rashly inviting me to join the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance? Aren't you afraid that I'll covet the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's vast resources as well? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, the reason I took out the Origin Heavenly Tao Steel was to test your talent and potential. You've ranked first on the Origin Heavenly Tao Steel, suppressing against the Heavens and Lord Life Killer. You're extraordinarily talented and powerful. In the future, you'll definitely become a supreme immortal emperor. Therefore, I believe that you have a high chance of becoming the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's alliance leader. If you can become the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's alliance leader, you'll have control over the vast amount of cultivation resources in the eternal immortal domains. Countless experts in the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance will follow your lead and command. At that time, you'll need much less time to break through to the immortal emperor realm. Great Elder Life Spirit spoke with complete sincerity as she slowly rose to her feet. Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, I sincerely invite you to join the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and compete for the position of alliance leader. Please don't refuse. Great Elder Life Spirit sighed softly before bowing to Ling Xiao. Rumble. The void trembled. A quasi-immortal emperor was capable of evoking the might of the Heavenly Tao. Great Elder Life Spirit bowed to Ling Xiao as a quasi-immortal emperor. Immediately, the Heavenly Tao sensed it. causing the void to tremble and give birth to all sorts of mysterious images. Ling Xiao sat there, his eyes flashing. He didn't rashly agree. He thought for a moment, then stared at Great Elder Life Spirit and slowly said, "Great Elder Life Spirit, is there something you haven't told me? I'd like to ask, why does it have to be me?" Ling Xiao wasn't tempted by Great Elder Life Spirit's words. He was very calm. To him, becoming the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's alliance leader would certainly give him a vast amount of cultivation resources. However, if he couldn't figure out the reason behind this, he naturally wouldn't agree rashly. Chapter 34-48. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, the Great Elder hesitated slightly, but in the end his eyes shone with determination. He took a deep breath and said slowly to Ling Xiao, "Because only you can save the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance." The Life Grand Elder's words were filled with sorrow, as well as a hint of fear and horror that he had concealed. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat when he saw the strange look in the First Elder's eyes. What could make a quasi-immortal emperor so fearful? As if she had already made up her mind, the Life Grand Elder did not try to hide anything. She told Ling Xiao everything. "Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, our Heavenly Tao Business Alliance has a total of 36 Grand Elders under the Alliance Master. When the Alliance Master is absent, the 36 First Elders can form a Council of Elders to decide the future of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. The Council of Elders is the highest authority in the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, second only to the Alliance Master. However, ever since I heard that something had happened to the Alliance Master, the Council of Elders has changed. Several of the First Elders have jointly recommended the Alliance Master's personal disciple to become the young Alliance Master and take charge of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance." First Elder Life explained slowly. "Is there something wrong with the Alliance Master's personal disciple?" Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked slowly. "That's right." First Elder Life nodded. "I cultivate the Heavenly Tao of Life, so I'm very familiar with the auras of the billions of beings in the eternal immortal domains. Although the Alliance Master's personal disciple has done his best to conceal his aura, I can still sense a trace of the aura of a creature of darkness on him. It's possible that he's fallen to darkness and been invaded by it. If he takes charge of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and becomes the Alliance Master, not only will the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance be destroyed, but the eternal immortal domains will also face a great calamity. No matter what, I can't let him become the Alliance Master. Unfortunately, although I'm 80% sure that he's been invaded by a creature of darkness, I don't have any proof. Even if I bring it up, the First Elders won't listen to me. It's hard to say how many of the First Elders have been bribed by him or are plotting against him. Besides, I don't want to alert him. However, even if I can't decide whether or not to let him become the Alliance Master on my own, I can choose a candidate to compete with him for the position of Alliance Master. As long as you can defeat him and all the other candidates, you will be able to become the true Alliance Master of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance." First Elder Life's voice was full of sincerity. He told her everything. He even told Ling Xiao all of his guesses and his worries and suspicions about the other First Elders without hiding anything. He hoped Ling Xiao would join the Alliance Master of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and become the Alliance Master. It could be said that the reason Grand Elder Life came to the Celestial Court of Fortune was to search for peerless geniuses. She hoped to recruit them into the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and make them a candidate for the Alliance Master position. He'd originally wanted Di Honghuan, but she was a princess of the Radiance Immortal Court. Her status was very special. The Radiance Immortal Court was no weaker than the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, so the Radiance Immortal Court wouldn't want Di Honghuan involved in the competition. Moreover, even if the Radiance Immortal Court agreed, the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Council of Elders wouldn't allow a princess of the Radiance Immortal Court to become the Alliance Master. Grand Elder Life Spirit had never thought that Ling Xiao would give him such a huge surprise. Ling Xiao's innate talent was unparalleled throughout the ages, and he could always suppress all prodigies. Even against the heavens, who was said to have reached the peak of the immortal Emperor realm, had been suppressed by Ling Xiao. In First Elder Life's opinion, as long as Ling Xiao didn't die, he would definitely become a supreme immortal emperor. If such a person joined the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, he would definitely be able to save the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance from danger. He might even be able to get rid of the traitor, the Alliance Master's personal disciple. Furthermore, Grand Elder Life had already investigated Ling Xiao's identity. Ling Xiao came from the Chaos Sea and had nothing to do with the various superpowers of the eternal immortal domains. Such a person was most suitable to become the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Alliance Master. What's the cultivation level of the Alliance Master's personal disciple? If I defeat him, I'll become the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Alliance Master. Isn't this too much of a joke? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he pondered for a moment before he spoke slowly. First Elder Life's body shook. He could hear the change in Ling Xiao's tone and felt hopeful. He hurriedly said, "First, you have to join the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance and become an elder of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's branch in the Fortune Immortal Court. Then I'll recommend you as a candidate for the position of Alliance Master." The selection of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Alliance Master requires several tests. The Alliance Master's personal disciple has just broken through to the half-immortal Emperor realm, but his talent is incomparably great. However, I believe that you'll be able to defeat him and become the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Alliance Master. At that time, the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's countless wealth and resources will be at your disposal. You'll be able to break through to the Immortal Emperor realm in the shortest time possible. First Elder Life said with a hint of eagerness. Ling Xiao thought for a moment, but didn't find any deception in First Elder Life's words. Moreover, joining the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance didn't seem to be a bad thing for him. If he could become the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's Alliance Master, he would be able to shorten the time required to break through to the Immortal Emperor realm. It had been countless years since he left the Your Wilds. Ling Xiao missed Jin Sei Shuiwei, his two adorable children, and his parents and friends very much. However, the eternal immortal domains were fraught with danger. Ling Xiao didn't have the strength to protect himself, let alone protect them. If he could break through to the Immortal Emperor realm as soon as possible, he could return to the Your Wilds and bring them to the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he thought of this. He looked deeply at First Elder Life and nodded. "All right, I agree to join the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance. However, before that, I must help Crown Prince Li Wuji participate in the Heavenly Tao Ancient Battlefield's trial and obtain the eternal fruit to break through to the half-immortal Emperor realm." "Wonderful. Ling Xiao, from now on, you'll be an elder of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance's branch in the Fortune Immortal Court. As for your request to enter the Heavenly Tao Ancient Battlefield, I understand. Even if you hadn't said anything, I would have let you enter the Heavenly Tao Ancient Battlefield to train. You can hunt the creatures of darkness there, so you'll be very familiar with them. When you meet the Alliance Master's personal disciple, you'll know that I'm telling the truth." First Elder Life said excitedly, as if a huge rock had been lifted from her heart. Chapter 3449. Not to mention, the eternal fruit in the Heavenly Ancient Battlefield can indeed help you break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm as soon as possible. However, with your talent and potential, one eternal fruit might not be of much use to you. If you can take a few more, you will definitely be able to accumulate a lot of power. After breaking through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm, you will also have an extremely powerful combat strength. Great Elder Life Force smiled slightly. A light flashed in his palm, and a white jade box appeared. He slowly opened the white jade box, and there was an ancient map inside. "Ling Xiao, since you are willing to join my Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, you are one of us from now on. Take this treasure map as a meeting gift from me to you." The 3 locations marked on the map contain 3 fruits of eternity. They were not ripe in the previous epoch, but they should be completely ripe in this epoch. After you enter, you should speed up and find these 3 eternal fruits first. Then, find a place to go into seclusion as soon as possible and break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. Only then will you have enough power to protect yourself. I hope that during the trial in the Heavenly Ancient Battlefield, even if you have to kill the dark creatures, you will still prioritize your own safety. Great Elder Life Force said seriously. 3 eternal fruits. Ling Xiao could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. His eyes were filled with incomparable shock. The Heavenly Tao Business Alliance was really rich. The treasure map that Great Elder Life Force took out casually actually indicated the location of 3 eternal fruits. One should know that when he went to Yi Liangshui's house, the Yi family ancestor gave him a treasure map that indicated the location of 1 eternal fruit. In this way, Ling Xiao had the location of 4 eternal fruits in his hands. If he could be the first to find these 4 eternal fruits after entering the heavenly ancient battlefield, it would definitely allow him to gain an extremely deep foundation and break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm in one go. Thank you, Great Elder Life Force. Ling Xiao accepted the treasure map and expressed his gratitude with utmost sincerity. He had to admit that this was an irresistible temptation. At the same time, he also saw how unfathomable the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance was. Ling Xiao and Great Elder Life Force agreed that after the trial in the heavenly ancient battlefield, he would return to the headquarters of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance with Great Elder Life Force to compete for the position of the alliance leader. Then Ling Xiao bade farewell, and prepared to return to the Green Cloud Immortal Palace to look for Li Wuji. However, he was stopped by an uninvited guest on the way. It was the little princess of the Light Celestial Court, Di Hongwan. Ling Xiao, how about we make a deal? If you sell that black stone statue to me, I can give you an eternal fruit in exchange. The eternal fruit is incomparably precious. It's a supreme treasure that can allow you to reach the heavens in a single step, directly becoming a quasi-immortal emperor. What do you think? Di Hongwan rolled her eyes and smiled at Ling Xiao. Fruit of eternity? Her Royal Highness is really rich. Unfortunately, I'm not selling it. Ling Xiao looked at Di Hongwan with a faint smile and shook his head. Even now, Di Hongwan still wanted to deceive her. The black stone statue was the statue of the immortal Emperor of Light, and it was very likely that it contained the inheritance of the immortal Emperor of Light. The inheritance of the Radiance Immortal Emperor was much more precious than an eternal fruit. Ling Xiao, what will it take for you to sell it to me? The black stone statue is of no use to you. It belongs to the Light Celestial Court. Name your price. As long as you can name it, I'll definitely do it. Di Hongwan was so angry that her teeth itched, but she still forced a smile. After all, it was the statue of the Light Celestial Emperor, and it contained the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor. Naturally, she would not give it up so easily. Your Royal Highness, are you still trying to deceive me? How much do you think the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor is worth? Ling Xiao looked at Di Hongwan with a faint smile and said, How do you know it's the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor? Di Hongwan was shocked, and her eyes were filled with disbelief. However, when she saw the expression on Ling Xiao's face, she immediately showed a trace of anger. You tricked me, Di Hongwan said angrily. Your Royal Highness, if there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Ling Xiao shook his head and turned to leave. Wait. Ling Xiao, since you know it's the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor, you should also know that the Light Celestial Emperor is the ancestor of the Light Celestial Court. His inheritance can only be opened by the descendants of the Light Celestial Court. You can't get the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor. Di Hongwan stood in front of Ling Xiao and said with a complicated expression, Then what do you want? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said flatly, Let's work together. Di Hongwan gritted her teeth and said, She originally wanted to pay a certain price to take the Light Celestial Emperor's statue from Ling Xiao. However, she did not expect Ling Xiao to know that it contained the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor. Therefore, she had no choice but to let Ling Xiao have a share of the loot. I know where the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor is, and the core of the inheritance can only be opened by my bloodline. Ling Xiao, let's go and find the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor together. At that time, I only want one thing in the inheritance, and I can give you the rest. Di Hongwan gritted her teeth and said. Her heart was bleeding. Work together? This is a good idea. However, where is the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor? Ling Xiao said with a smile. This was also his goal. Di Hongwan's words could be said to be exactly what he wanted. You don't even know where the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor is. How greedy of you to want to obtain the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor. To tell you the truth, the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor is in the heavenly ancient battlefield. Di Honghuan looked at Ling Xiao with some sarcasm. The heavenly ancient battlefield? Ling Xiao was shocked. He suddenly felt that although it was unexpected, it was also reasonable. Otherwise, why would the little princess of the Light Celestial Court come to the Creation Celestial Court? Even if she wanted the stone statue, she could have spoken to the senior members of the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance and directly bought it. It seemed that she was not only after the stone statue of the Light Celestial Emperor, but also after the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor in the heavenly ancient battlefield. However, Di Honghuan did not expect that the treasure, which she was confident of obtaining, would be taken away by Ling Xiao. Now, she had to share a share of the loot with Ling Xiao, which made her extremely depressed. In that case, I promise you that when the heavenly ancient battlefield opens, I will work with you to find the inheritance of the Light Celestial Emperor. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and then nodded at Di Honghuan. He then turned and left. This damn bastard. Di Honghuan was so angry that she stomped her feet, but there was nothing she could do. Little princess, Ling Xiao is extremely talented. He is ranked first on the Origin Source Heavenly Dao Tablet of the Celestial King Realm. He is even more powerful than Enite Sangtian and people like you. You can't offend him. You must have a good relationship with him. Perhaps he will be a great help to the Light Celestial Court. The elder behind Di Honghuan said slowly with a deep look in his eyes. I understand, Grandpa Tree. It's just that this guy is too arrogant. Di Honghuan nodded and said unhappily. Chapter 3450. Ling Xiao returned to the Yi clan and began to cultivate in seclusion. The eternal fire essence he had obtained at the Heavenly Dao auction was extremely important to the World Tree in his primordial spirit. After the World Tree devoured the eternal fire essence, it grew even faster. Through the World Tree, Ling Xiao could vaguely sense that he could communicate with the eternal Heavenly Dao's Heavenly Dao of Fire. This allowed his comprehension of the Heavenly Dao of Fire to advance by leaps and bounds. The entire Fortune Immortal City was in an uproar because of Ling Xiao's name. After all, the Origin Heavenly Dao Steel was famous throughout the Eternal Immortal Domains. Those who could ascend to the Origin Heavenly Dao Steel were all peerless geniuses. Who would have thought that not only would Ling Xiao ascend to the Origin Heavenly Dao Steel, but he would also surpass the top 10 geniuses to ascend to first place. This meant that even the Eternal Heavenly Dao recognized Ling Xiao as the #1 immortal king. What kind of glory was this? Moreover, the news seemed to have grown wings. Not only did it spread throughout the Fortune Immortal City, but it also spread throughout the Eternal Immortal Domains. It wasn't hard to imagine that it wouldn't be long before Ling Xiao's name would be known throughout the Eternal Immortal Domains. Crown Prince Li Wuji and the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor were extremely happy about this. This was especially true for the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor. He knew that Ling Xiao was strong and talented. However, he had never imagined that Ling Xiao's talent and potential would be so great that he would be able to ascend to first place on the Origin Heavenly Dao Steel. This was something that had never happened before. In his excitement, he even told Crown Prince Li Wuji to befriend Ling Xiao. Not only was Ling Xiao the reason Crown Prince Li Wuji could become the Emperor Lord of the Fortune Immortal Court, but he might also be the key to restoring the glory of the Fortune Immortal Court. Under the orders of the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor and Crown Prince Li Wuji, all kinds of precious resources, including the treasures in the treasury of the Fortune Immortal Court, were sent to the Yi clan and Ling Xiao's secluded cultivation place. Ling Xiao naturally understood the reason for this, so he accepted it all with a smile. Just like that, a month after Ling Xiao entered seclusion, Crown Prince Li Wuji personally came to the Yi clan to tell Ling Xiao that the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield was about to open. Senior Ling Xiao, the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield will open in 3 days. The location will be at Quoking Mountain in the Fortune Immortal Court's territory. Crown Prince Li Wuji said respectfully. According to his introduction, Ling Xiao had an extremely deep understanding of the Heavenly Ancient Battlefield. As it turned out, The Heaven Dao ancient battlefield was actually a spatial passageway between the eternal immortal domains and the creatures of darkness. There were many such spatial passageways in the eternal immortal domains. However, because of the magical laws of the eternal immortal domains, the spatial passageways didn't appear in fixed locations. This time he appeared in the Quoking Mountain in the Creation Celestial Court. Quoking Mountain was an ancient immortal mountain that was 3 million meters tall. It was majestic, ancient, and mysterious. The Celestial Court of Fortune, the Celestial Court of Truth, and the Great Yen Celestial Court would be the foundation for the opening of the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. In addition to the 3 great celestial courts, many everlasting families, imperishable sects, and sacred lands would also be participating. The Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield wasn't just a battleground between the human domain and the creatures of darkness. It was also a training ground that contained countless opportunities and fortunes. Therefore, the various great factions treated the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield as a training ground for their disciples. They also hoped to obtain treasures or the legacies of experts. Of the 3 great celestial courts, only the Great Yen Celestial Court remained neutral. The Creation Celestial Court and the Celestial Court of Truth were mortal enemies. Every time they heard about the opening of the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield, they would bet against each other. The loser would lose a great deal of territory. Over the years, the Creation Celestial Court had lost several hundred precept domains to the Celestial Court of Truth. Therefore, the Creation Celestial Court attached great importance to the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. That was why the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor had asked Ling Xiao to come here. The Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield was only accessible to those below the level of a quasi-immortal emperor. However, whether it was the creatures of darkness or the experts of the human domain, it wouldn't be a problem for them to break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm after entering the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. Therefore, the bet between the Creation Celestial Court and the Celestial Court of Truth was based on the number of dark quasi-immortal emperors they could kill. Senior Ling Xiao, the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield will open for 10 years. After we enter the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield, I will lead my subordinates to help Senior Ling Xiao find the eternal fruit as soon as possible, and help Senior Ling Xiao to break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. At that time, with Senior Ling Xiao's combat strength, you will definitely be able to defeat everyone. Crown Prince Li Wuji said excitedly. He was full of confidence in Ling Xiao. He believed that with Ling Xiao's participation, the Immortal Court of Creation would definitely win the bet between the Immortal Court of Truth and the Immortal Court of Creation. Sure, Your Highness, if you have any detailed information about the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield, you can give me a copy for my reference. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Senior Ling Xiao, don't worry. I have already prepared everything. Crown Prince Li Wuji smiled and handed a jade slip to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao accepted the jade slip and made an appointment with Crown Prince Li Wuji to head to the Quoking Mountain 3 days later. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Above the Fortune Immortal City, an ancient void treasure ship was floating in the 9 heavens. At the same time, immortal beasts were flying in the sky and war chariots were lined up. There were powerful figures waiting to set off. Among them, there were 2 figures with terrifying auras that exuded the majestic might of the Heavenly Dao. One of them looked elegant while the other looked sinister. They were the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor and the Nining Quasi-Immortal Emperor. The 2 of them were also the leaders of the Creation Celestial Court this time. Behind them were the immortal kings of the Creation Celestial Court. Other than that, there were also the geniuses of the Great Wall families, imperishable sects, and holy lands. They were at least early immortal kings. At a rough glance, there were more than 10,000 people. That was 10,000 immortal kings. After Ling Xiao arrived, he immediately attracted the attention of everyone. Everyone's eyes fell on him. After all, during this period of time, Ling Xiao's name had spread throughout the Creation Celestial Court. Countless geniuses were very curious about Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao also noticed that Crown Prince Li Wuji, Second Prince Li Wushuang, Prince Long Di, True Phoenix Maiden, and even the little princess of the Radiant Celestial Court, Di Hongwan, were all present. After Ling Xiao arrived, Crown Prince Li Wuji immediately led him to his war chariot respectfully. The second prince, Li Wuxuang, looked at Li Wuji with eyes full of jealousy. He was very jealous of Li Wuji for being able to recruit such a genius like Ling Xiao. Although the opening of the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield was a bet between the Creation Celestial Court and the Truth Celestial Court, it was also a bet between him and Crown Prince Li Wuji. After this Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield, the Creation Celestial Court's Emperor would be decided. With Ling Xiao on Crown Prince Li Wuji's side, Li Wuxuang couldn't help but worry. Don't worry, Second Prince. After we enter the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield, we will be able to quickly break through to the Immortal Emperor realm. At that time, we will definitely help Second Prince to kill the Dark Immortal Emperor. Although Ling Xiao is very talented, he might not be stronger than us when facing the dark creatures. Prince Long Di and True Phoenix Maiden looked at each other and said slowly to the second prince, "Let's go." As soon as the Green Cloud Quasi-Immortal Emperor gave the order, the Void Treasure ships, various war chariots, and powerful immortal beasts rose into the sky and flew towards Quokang Mountain. Chapter 3451. Quokang Mountain towered into the clouds. Smoke drifted in the air as propitious vapors rose. This was an incomparably ancient immortal mountain. Rumor had it that it could be traced back to the previous chaos epoch. The mountain was over 1,000,000 feet tall, and it pierced through the heavens like a divine sword, exuding an ancient and majestic aura. There were all kinds of powerful immortal beasts and treasures in the Quokang Mountain. Before the opening of the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield, many experts from the Fortune Celestial Court would come to Broad Sky Mountain to train, hunt immortal beasts, and search for treasures. Today, lightning surged in the sky above Quokang Mountain. The atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Bolts of lightning that were as thick as mountains interweaved with each other, emitting an extremely terrifying destructive aura. In the center of the endless thunderbolts, there was a faint black demonic light that emitted an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Vaguely, the space there seemed to shatter, leading to an ancient and mysterious world. It was the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield. When Quasi-Immortal Emperor Qing Yuan and Quasi-Immortal Emperor Nine led the people from Creation Immortal Court to Broad Sky Mountain, the people from Truth Immortal Court and Great Yin Immortal Court had also arrived. Every Immortal Court had 2 Quasi-Immortal Emperors leading them. The auras of the 6 Quasi-Immortal Emperors intertwined with each other, emitting fluctuations that caused the heavens and earth to tremble. The Fortune Immortal Court had sent out over 10,000 Immortal Kings. As for the Great Yin Immortal Court, their forces were the weakest. Vaguely, they seemed to only have 5,000 Immortal Kings. As for the Truth Immortal Court, their forces were the most powerful. They had mobilized close to 20,000 Immortal Kings. From this, one could see the gap between the 3 Immortal Courts. Quasi-Immortal Emperor Lei Shen, Quasi-Immortal Emperor Quang Shi, have you obtained the Truth Emperor's authorization for the opening of the Heavenly Dao Ancient Battlefield? The Quasi-Immortal Emperor from the Green Cloud Immortal Court calmly spoke. He seemed to recognize the 2 Quasi-Immortal Emperors from the Truth Immortal Court. Of the 2 Quasi-Immortal Emperors from the Truth Immortal Court, one of them was surrounded by lightning and looked like a god of thunder. His aura was violent and tyrannical. One of them was dressed in a red robe, his hair fluttering in the wind. He looked dignified and domineering. These 2 people were Quasi-Immortal Emperor Lei Shen and Quasi-Immortal Emperor Quang Shi. Their auras were extremely powerful, even stronger than Quasi-Immortal Emperor Qing Yuan and Quasi-Immortal Emperor Nine. Naturally, I've already obtained the authorization. My lord has decided to bet 500 Dao domains with your Creation Immortal Court in this bet. I wonder if your Creation Immortal Court dares to bet or not. If you don't dare, we can do what we did in the past and bet 200 Dao domains. Quasi-Immortal Emperor Lei Shen sneered. 500 precept domains. Quasi-Immortal Emperor Qing Yuan and Quasi-Immortal Emperor Nine couldn't help but frown. After all, the Creation Immortal Court only had 800 Dao territories left now. If he lost this time, he would only be left with 300 Dao domains. At that time, they would be even weaker than some of the imperishable sections. If that happened, the Immortal Court of Fortune would become the laughingstock of the eternal immortal domains. However, The green cloud quasi-immortal emperor glanced at Ling Xiao and said indifferently, "Isn't it just 500 Dao domains? My creation immortal court can afford to gamble. However, if your truth immortal court loses this time, you'll really cough up blood." Naturally, the green cloud quasi-immortal emperor had obtained the authorization of the creation emperor master. Although 500 Dao domains was a bit much, he still had the right to make the decision. The Ninein quasi-immortal emperor frowned slightly. Although he and the green cloud quasi-immortal emperor were not on good terms, he didn't say anything in the face of a great enemy. "Good green cloud quasi-immortal emperor, I didn't expect your creation immortal court to be so bold. However, my truth immortal court will definitely take these 500 Dao domains." Quasi-immortal emperor Lei Shen sneered. The reason why they dared to bet 500 Dao domains was because they had something to rely on. Moreover, quasi-immortal emperor Lei Shen believed that the truth immortal court would definitely win this time. "Where's Ling Xiao?" At this moment, quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi's eyes flashed coldly. His killing intent was incomparably cold as he roared and locked his gaze on Ling Xiao. Quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi, what do you mean by this? Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun's terrifying aura rose and instantly blocked quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi's path. His eyes were incomparably cold, showing no signs of weakness. Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun, Ling Xiao is a wanted criminal of my truth immortal court. He has killed countless experts of my truth immortal court. Please hand him over to me. Quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi said coldly. At this moment, Ling Xiao also noticed quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi. He also knew that the quasi-immortal emperor's dharma body that he had killed was closely related to quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi. Impossible. Ling Xiao is a member of my creation immortal court. If you want to kill him, you're making an enemy of my creation immortal court. Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun sneered and said with a tough attitude, "Making an enemy of your creation immortal court? Are you worthy?" Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. If you don't hand Ling Xiao over, I'm afraid all of you so-called young geniuses will fall in this heavenly ancient battlefield. Quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi sneered. His eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent. He actually threatened Ling Xiao. His words caused the expressions of many young experts of the Fortune Celestial Court to change. Arrogant. Then let's fight in the heavenly ancient battlefield. Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun said coldly. Quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi glanced at Ling Xiao coldly and said, "Little thief, I'll let you live for a few more days. However, even if you enter the heavenly ancient battlefield, you'll definitely die." Obviously, quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi did not want to have a conflict with quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun at this moment. Since Ling Xiao would enter the heavenly ancient battlefield, he did not immediately make things difficult for Ling Xiao. After all, he also believed that Ling Xiao would definitely die if he entered the heavenly ancient battlefield. Is that so? Maybe I'll kill everyone in your truth immortal court, and then come out to kill you. Ling Xiao said indifferently and looked coldly at quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi. His voice was incomparably overbearing. "Arrogant little thief, I swear that you're dead." Quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi's eyes flashed with coldness and killing intent as he said coldly. Ling Xiao's words had thoroughly infuriated him. "Alright everyone, let's not talk nonsense. Now, it's time to open the space passage and enter the heavenly ancient battlefield." At this moment, a quasi-immortal emperor of the Great Yin Immortal Court spoke. Quasi-immortal emperor Qin Yun and quasi-immortal emperor Guangshi looked at each other and snorted coldly. They did not continue to make things difficult for them. The 6 quasi-immortal emperors instantly leaped up and unleashed their terrifying and powerful cultivation. They were ready to tear open the space passage and open a path to enter the heavenly ancient battlefield. Chapter 3452. Rumble. Crack. In the air, the 6 quasi-immortal emperors exuded terrifying auras. All of them were shrouded in immortal light as killing intent permeated the air. They unleashed boundless might, resembling 6 resplendent suns in the sky, blotting out the radiance of the sun. The sky above Quoking Mountain was distorted. Cracks had already appeared in the void, and a dark aura seeped out from them. The 6 quasi-immortal emperors' joint attacks were expanding the cracks, as if they were about to form a spatial tunnel. That was where the 2 worlds intersected, and where the eternal immortal domains and the creatures of darkness fought. It was the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield. At this moment, the geniuses of the 3 celestial courts, everlasting families, imperishable sects, and holy lands all raised their heads and looked at the gradually forming spatial tunnel. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Senior Ling Xiao, the leader of the great Yin immortal court this time, should be their eldest princess, Yin Hongya. She's the one in red armor. She's extraordinarily talented, and according to legend, she has the flame immortal body. There's another person we need to pay attention to. He's the young man in purple robes next to Yin Hongya. His name is Zhou Yuan, and he's the divine son of one of the everlasting families in the great Yin immortal domain. Rumor has it that when he was born, his purple aura spread for 30,000 miles. He's a natural-born saint. Yin Hongya and Zhou Yuan are the ones most likely to break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. However, the great Yin immortal court has always been neutral. As long as we don't offend them, they won't attack us. Crown Prince Li Wuji transmitted to Ling Xiao as they waited for the spatial tunnel to open. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he nodded. He saw that the leader of the great Yin immortal court was a valiant woman in red armor. She had a voluptuous figure, and her eyes were cold and aloof, exuding a lofty arrogance. The young man in purple robes next to her had a head of flowing purple hair. He was handsome and elegant, and his aura was incomparably mysterious. The 2 of them looked like a perfect couple standing together, and they attracted the attention of countless people. Ling Xiao could sense that Yin Hongya and Zhou Yuan's auras were indeed powerful, and their talents weren't weak either. They should be on par with the second prince, Li Wushuang. As such, Li Wushuang's gaze constantly swept between Yin Hongya and Zhou Yuan. As for the Truth Immortal Court, the Celestial Court of Truth is much stronger than our Celestial Court of Fortune. Even I'm not sure if they have any hidden geniuses this time. However, we must also pay attention to the 3 leaders among them. Crown Prince Li Wuji said slowly with a tinge of fear in his eyes. Following Crown Prince Li Wuji's gaze, Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the members of the Celestial Court of Truth. The Truth Immortal Court was led by 3 geniuses, 1 male and 2 females. The person in the lead was dressed in a white robe. He held a folding fan in his hand, and wore a jade crown on his head. He looked elegant and extraordinary, like an elegant young master in a chaotic world. His eyes were deep and bright, like the stars, unforgettable. Chaotic light rose around his body. The immortal light was faintly discernible, making it impossible for others to discern his aura and depth. But as he stood there, it was as if he was the center of heaven and earth. He had a dazzling temperament. To his left and right were 2 women in long white dresses. They looked like twins, and their faces were extremely similar. They were both incomparably beautiful and exuded an aura of peerless elegance. Their auras were extremely terrifying as well. Ling Xiao could feel a strong sense of threat just by looking at them. Interesting. A look of interest appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. The white-robed man and the 2 white-dressed women seemed to have cultivated some kind of secret technique that could conceal their cultivation and aura, making it impossible for others to see through them. However, the sense of danger he felt was undeniable. It was clear that these 3 were extremely strong. The man in white is called Ning Shukong. He's the crown prince of the Truth Immortal Court. When he was born, strange phenomena occurred. It was as if a river of time and space had appeared, and the outside world had frozen. He has the legendary immortal void body, which ranks in the top 10 of the countless supreme physiques in the eternal immortal domains. Even my second brother, who is said to be unparalleled in talent, is still a little lacking compared to Ning Shukong. The 2 women in white beside Ning Shukong are the direct descendants of the Bai family, the #1 everlasting family in the Truth Immortal Court. They are also twins. One is called Bai Qingxue, the other Bai Qingxuang. Both of them have the Tine immortal body, and their minds are connected. When they join forces, even immortal kings can kill half-immortal emperors. Their battle prowess is heaven-defying to the extreme. In addition, Bai Qingxue and Bai Qingshuang were betrothed to Ning Xiukong by the Bai family when they were very young. When the three of them work together, their battle prowess is enough to defeat ordinary half-immortal emperors. They are our greatest enemy in the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. Crown Prince Li Wuji explained in detail to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao nodded, his eyes flashing. He could sense that although Ning Xiukong and the two Bai family goddesses were extremely strong, there were a few other auras in the Truth Immortal Court that were incomparably obscure, but extremely powerful. For example, behind Ning Xiukong, there was a very ordinary-looking young man with a long sword on his back. His entire body exuded an extremely powerful sword intent that was incomparably sharp. His restrained killing intent made him seem like a demon that had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. It was incomparably terrifying. In Ling Zhao's opinion, the ordinary-looking young man with a long sword on his back was most likely not inferior to Zhou Yuan. In fact, he might even be stronger. The Truth Immortal Court was indeed the strongest among the three great immortal courts. This trip to the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield to hunt the creatures of darkness was indeed filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Rumble. At this moment, the huge spatial tunnel in the void slowly formed under the joint efforts of the 6 half-immortal emperors. The dark aura gushed out from it. It was eerie and cold as if it led to an unknown and ancient world. Everyone couldn't help but shiver. Everyone from the Truth Immortal Court quickly enter the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. Quasi-immortal Emperor Guangshi's eyes flashed coldly. He was incomparably domineering as he took the lead and shouted. Ning Xiukong and the two Bai clan's goddesses' eyes flashed. They instantly soared into the sky and flew into the spatial tunnel. Behind them, many immortal kings, young sky prides, and monstrous geniuses from the Truth Immortal Court also followed, and entered the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. Senior Ling Xiao, let's go too. Crown Prince Li Wuji's eyes flashed as he said slowly. All right. Ling Xiao nodded. Crown Prince Li Wuji, Second Prince Li Wushuang, and the others also soared into the spatial tunnel and flew into it. Fellow cultivator Ling Xiao, please. Qin Yun Quasi-Immortal Emperor transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao as he flew past him. Don't worry. Ling Xiao replied indifferently. Then, together with Crown Prince Li Wuji, they instantly disappeared into the spatial tunnel. The light in front of them changed. Immortal light was faintly discernible. Endless spatial turbulence surged violently, and various mysterious scenes appeared. When the scene in front of them became clear again, Ling Xiao, Crown Prince Li Wuji, and the others had already appeared in an unfamiliar and ancient space. The sky was greenish-gray. Mountains rose and fell in the distance. They didn't seem to have any signs of life. A strange black mist filled the air. The immortal spiritual qi here was very thin, and the heaven and earth were filled with a strange dark energy. Ling Xiao looked around and suddenly felt a strong sense of danger surging in his heart. His expression changed abruptly, and he quickly shouted, "Oh no, there's an ambush!" Chapter 3453. Rumble. Crack. Lightning and divine light intertwined in the surroundings. A terrifying aura of destruction emerged from all directions in an instant. The divine chains of order hidden in the void intertwined with each other. The powerful and terrifying power of the formation completely erupted, turning this area into a land of death. In an instant, it shrouded the people of the immortal court of creation within it. Boundless eternal heavenly might burst forth. Bolts of lightning seemed to be the divine thunder of the heavenly Tao. They contain the purest origin aura. A terrifying and peerless killing formation actually rose up in the surroundings. In an instant, dozens of immortal kings were caught off guard, and were blasted into dust by the terrifying lightning. Even their primordial spirits were completely shattered, and they died directly. Oh no, it's a trap set by those bastards of the Truth Immortal Court. Everyone, break the formation quickly. Crown Prince Li Wuji's expression changed drastically, and he roared. Damn Truth Immortal Court, damn Ning Xiukong. If I catch you, I'll make sure you suffer a fate worse than death. The second Prince Li Wushuang was also trembling with anger. His eyes were filled with monstrous rage. Although he and the Crown Prince had a fierce battle, they still chose to fight together against a common enemy in the face of external enemies. Rumble. Immortal light rose, and incomparably powerful immortal artifacts were summoned. All kinds of powerful immortal arts, secret techniques, and divine abilities were instantly activated and bombarded the formation in all directions. It could be seen that the Truth Immortal Court had set up this trap in a hurry. Although the formation contained the eternal heavenly Tao might, it was not perfect and there were still loopholes to exploit. The people of the Immortal Court of Fortune reacted and attacked at the same time. Soon, the formation was completely destroyed. However, there were still over 100 immortal kings who had perished here. Everyone's expression was very ugly, and their eyes were surging with anger. They never thought that they would be tricked by the people of the Truth Immortal Court as soon as they entered the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield. Buzz. Immortal light drifted in the void, and a white-robed figure emerged. It was Ning Shukong. Everyone of the Immortal Court of Creation, do you like the gift that I've prepared for you? In this heavenly Tao ancient battlefield, my Truth Immortal Court is destined to come out on top and snatch another 500 Tao domains from your Fortune Immortal Court. If you're afraid of death, then leave now. Otherwise, if you fall into my hands, don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Shukong looked indifferent, his tone was calm, and there was a faint smile on his face. However, everyone could hear the arrogance and overbearingness in that voice, as well as the blatant disregard. Li Wushuang threw out a punch and instantly turned Ning Shukong, who was in the void, into powder. However, that figure was only a mark left by Ning Shukong. At this moment, Ning Shukong's real body was still hiding somewhere. After hearing Ning Shukong's words, Crown Prince Li Wuji and Second Prince Li Wushuang's faces darkened. They weren't stupid. From the panicked faces of the people of the Immortal Court of Fortune, they already understood that Ning Shukong's psychological attack had already taken effect. Ning Shukong first set up a trap to kill some Immortal King experts, and then said those words to make the people of the Fortune Immortal Court think of retreating, so that he could defeat them one by one. Ling Zhao's eyes lit up. Ning Shukong was indeed a scheming person. The Truth Immortal Court was already extremely powerful, and had twice the number of people compared to the Fortune Immortal Court. However, Ning Shukong wasn't arrogant. Instead, he showed his ruthless side. Not only did he set up a trap to kill the people of the Fortune Immortal Court, but he also had a psychological attack. He wanted to disturb the morale of the people of the Fortune Immortal Court. Everything he did was to completely defeat the Immortal Court of Creation. After all, they entered the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield to hunt the dark creatures. However, with the enmity between the Fortune Immortal Court and the Truth Immortal Court, they were also in a life and death state. Therefore, the Truth Immortal Court didn't mind killing all the young geniuses of the Fortune Immortal Court in the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield. In this way, the Fortune Immortal Court would suffer such a huge loss and become weaker while the Truth Immortal Court would become stronger. Ling Xiao, Crown Prince Li Wuji, and Second Prince Li Wushuang all understood Ning Shukong's intention. We can't act together. That's too big of a target, and it's easy for Ning Shukong to detect our intentions. Therefore, I think we should act separately. Crown Prince Li Wuji's eyes flashed as he made a prompt decision, and looked at Second Prince Li Wushuang. You're right. We should indeed act separately. How about this? You and I each lead a team to hunt the dark creatures, find the eternal fruit, and kill the dark quasi-immortal emperor. As for the other rogue cultivators or the young geniuses who don't want to follow us, they can act on their own. Surprisingly, Second Prince Li Wushuang didn't mock Li Wuji. Instead, he nodded in agreement. All right, then it's decided. Senior Ling Xiao, why don't you act together with me? I'll lead a team to find the whereabouts of the eternal fruit for you. Li Wuji looked at Ling Xiao seriously and asked. There's no need for that. If we have too many people, we'll only alert the enemy. Therefore, I've decided to act alone. Your Highness, you can act according to your plan. After I find the eternal fruit and break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm, I'll meet up with you. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, but he still shook his head and rejected the suggestion. Now that he had the whereabouts of 4 eternal fruits, Ling Xiao naturally wanted to keep all 4 of them. However, since so many people had entered the heavenly ancient battlefield, not to mention the hidden dark creatures. It was hard to guarantee that the eternal fruits would not be obtained by others. Therefore, Ling Xiao had to act quickly. Finding the 4 eternal fruits was the most important thing. Alright, in that case, I won't force you. Senior Ling Xiao, please be careful. If you encounter any danger, please contact me at any time. I'll definitely help you as soon as possible. Crown Prince Li Wuji also nodded. Therefore, after entering the heavenly ancient battlefield, the tens of thousands of celestial kings from the creation celestial court began to act separately. Crown Prince Li Wuji and Second Prince Li Wushuang each led thousands of celestial kings in different directions. There were also thousands of rogue cultivators and celestial kings who were unwilling to follow them. They left on their own and headed in all directions. They either hunted the creatures of darkness, searched for heavenly materials and earthly treasures, or had other plans. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, flew into the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield alone. Chapter 3454. Ling Xiao headed toward the depths of the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. His target was none other than the eternal fruit. The 3 eternal fruits that Grand Elder Life gave me aren't far from where I am now. They're all in the periphery of the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. On the other hand, the eternal fruit given by the Yi family patriarch is located in the depths of the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at the locations of the 4 eternal fruits. He immediately made up his mind to search for the 3 eternal fruits that Grand Elder Life had given him. Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast. He was like a bolt of golden lightning as he moved forward. The heavenly Dao ancient battlefield was a very mysterious space where the eternal immortal domain and the dark qi intertwined. It was filled with the eternal laws of the heavenly Dao and the unfamiliar dark laws. The 2 laws intersected, causing the space here to become extremely unstable. Even quasi-immortal emperors didn't dare to travel through the void recklessly. Otherwise, they would be dragged into an eternal void by the chaotic power of the 2 laws. They would never be able to find the ancient battlefield of heavenly Dao or the eternal immortal domains again. Therefore, Ling Xiao didn't tear the void apart. Instead, he flew forward at top speed. He didn't bring Yi Liangshui with him to the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield this time. Yi Liangshui had been bestowed with enlightenment by the Yi family patriarch and had become the Yi family's divine son. Ling Xiao was satisfied that he had such a good home. Immortal King Qilin had also been temporarily stored in Ling Xiao's small world. After all, Immortal King Qilin's true form was an emperor-grade celestial herb. If he appeared in the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield rashly, he would attract the attention of countless people and cause great trouble. Ling Xiao traveled hundreds of thousands of miles in an instant. His first target was the Black Pool. There was an eternal fruit in the Black Pool. It was rumored that a supreme immortal emperor had passed away here. Later on, the immortal emperor's inheritance was taken away. However, the Black Pool was gradually condensed into an eternal fruit by the immortal emperor's laws of the heavenly Dao. However, when the heavenly Dao ancient battlefield opened last time, the eternal fruit hadn't matured yet. Moreover, there were creatures of darkness eyeing it covetously, so the heavenly Dao business alliance didn't take it away. Ling Xiao couldn't help but marvel at the heavenly Dao business alliance's strength and terror. The Yi family patriarch had gone to great lengths to discover the eternal fruit's whereabouts. However, the great elder life had casually revealed the locations of the 3 eternal fruits. Indeed, comparisons were odious. Now, Ling Xiao had to take all the eternity fruits before anyone else discovered them. Ling Xiao quickly found the Black Pool. It was a huge pool in the middle of the 2 dark mountain ranges. An underground river flowed into the huge pool through the gaps between the mountain ranges. The Blackwater Pool was like a huge lake, and it was filled with a dark and strange mist. Ling Xiao could sense that there was a group of unknown creatures with powerful auras around the Black Pool. Are they the creatures of darkness? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He saw a group of dark creatures sitting cross-legged in front of the Black Pool in the black mist, absorbing the dark energy. As for the creatures of darkness, they looked no different from the humans of the eternal immortal domains. The only difference was that their auras were dark and sinister. Ling Xiao could see that the aura of the group of dark creatures was not very strong. Apart from the two people in the lead who had reached the peak of the Immortal King realm, the rest were mostly only at the true immortal realm. They seemed to treat the black pool as a treasure ground that could absorb the dark energy. They occupied the surroundings and continuously absorbed and refined the dark energy here. Kill them. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. In an instant, an extremely terrifying presence erupted around him as he charged towards the group of creatures of darkness. As the saying went, those who weren't of the same race were bound to have different intentions. The eternal immortal domains and the creatures of darkness had been at war for many years, and there was a deep-seated hatred between the two sides. No matter who saw the other, they would immediately be ruthless. Therefore, Ling Xiao only hesitated for a moment, then attacked. Not good. It's a traitor of the immortal region. Kill him. The eyes of the two dark creatures at the peak of the Immortal King realm flashed with a cold light. In an instant, killing intent rose from their bodies. They spat out strange syllables, a language unique to the creatures of darkness. Even Ling Xiao sounded a little cryptic and difficult to understand. But he heard two words clearly: traitor of the immortal region. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Why would the creatures of darkness call him a traitor of the immortal region? However, he only thought about it for a moment before attacking mercilessly. Sky Devourer glowed with dazzling light, and two beams of incomparably sharp sword energy swept down. In an instant, hundreds of millions of dazzling sword lights slashed down. The true immortals of darkness didn't even have time to react before Sky Devourer cut them down like vegetables. In the blink of an eye, Ling Xiao had wiped out all of the creatures of darkness, leaving only the two peak Immortal King Dark creatures. The two peak Immortal King Dark creatures couldn't help but pale when they saw Ling Xiao's terrifying battle prowess. They immediately turned and fled into the distance. Since Ling Xiao had attacked, he naturally wouldn't leave them alive. Sky Devourer's sword energy surged as he activated the three swords of origin. Incomparably sharp sword energy caught up to the two dark creatures in an instant. Whoosh! Sky Devourer's sword was like a long rainbow as it slashed down towards the two dark creatures. The eyes of the two dark creatures were filled with shock and anger. They cried out loudly as they executed powerful divine abilities. Beams of dark divine light flew towards Ling Xiao. However, this was just their final struggle. Sky Devourer's sword energy was sharp and could destroy everything. It contained the might of the eternal heavenly Tao, and instantly destroyed the two beams of dark divine light. Then, the sword energy descended and enveloped the two dark creatures. Puff! Blood light filled the air as black mist rose. Ling Xiao killed them with his sword. The two dark creatures were completely dead. Even the peak Immortal King Dark creatures couldn't block Ling Xiao's sword intent. Ling Xiao's current battle prowess was peerlessly powerful. Only a quasi-immortal emperor could compare to him. However, Ling Xiao also discovered that these dark creatures were indeed difficult to deal with. Especially the dark energy, it contained extremely strong corrosive and invasive properties. If one was injured by the dark creatures, the dark energy would enter one's body. Not only would the injury become more serious, it was even very likely that one would eventually be contaminated by the dark energy and completely become a member of the dark creatures. This was the terrifying part of the dark creatures. Legend had it that in ancient times, there were even immortal emperors who were once contaminated by the dark creatures and turned into dark immortal emperors. They had once wreaked havoc and slaughtered billions of living beings. Among this group of dark creatures, other than the two peak Immortal King Dark creatures, there were three other Immortal King Dark creatures. Ling Xiao kept their corpses. All Immortal King Realm creatures of darkness could be counted as points. Of course, the key to determining the outcome of the trial in the Heavenly Tao ancient battlefield was still the quasi-immortal Emperor Dark creatures. After keeping the corpses, Ling Xiao turned around and plunged into the black pool. Chapter 3455. In the black pool. The dark energy was so dense that it could not be dispersed. It seemed to have sensed Ling Xiao's aura and constantly surged into Ling Xiao's body, wanting to completely assimilate Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by a dazzling golden glow. A layer of immortal and mysterious immortal light appeared on the surface of his body, isolating all the dark energy outside. Ling Xiao continued to dive into the black pool. The black pool was bottomless. Ling Xiao dived for more than 10,000 feet before stopping. According to the guidance of the map, Ling Xiao found an ancient stone cave in an underground mountain range. There was a special aura of a seal left behind by the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. An ancient token appeared in Ling Xiao's palm. On it were the two ancient immortal words, Heavenly Dao. It was the Heavenly Dao token that he had obtained from the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. In an instant, the Heavenly Dao token bloomed with a dazzling light. The seal in front of him trembled slightly, and then slowly broke apart. This was the seal left behind by the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Without the Heavenly Dao token, an immortal king powerhouse would definitely not be able to break it. Even a quasi-immortal emperor would have to spend a lot of effort to break it. After breaking the seal, Ling Xiao directly entered the stone cave. In the stone cave, there was a lotus pond enshrouded in immortal light. In the lotus pond, there were white lotus flowers blooming. The lotus flower in the center was dazzling with golden light and had 12 petals. Ling Xiao instantly recognized that it was a 12th grade golden lotus. On this 12th grade golden lotus, there was a dazzling fruit. It was like a small sun, dazzling with immortal light. Ling Xiao's gaze was instantly attracted by the fruit that was like a small sun. It was the eternal fruit. The eternal fruit was formed by the eternal Heavenly Dao's origin power. Some were born from flowers and plants, some were born from trees, and some were even born from mountains and rocks. Ling Xiao felt that on the 12th grade golden lotus, the fruit that was as dazzling as the sun, emitted a vast and majestic eternal Heavenly Dao aura. He almost immediately recognized that this must be the eternal fruit. Moreover, the eternal fruit's Heavenly Dao aura was very dense and emitted a powerful wave of energy. It was obvious that this eternal fruit had matured. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and slowly walked up. The sky-devouring sword appeared in his palm. He dug out the entire lotus pond from its roots and stored it in his small world. It had to be said that this cave was a completely different world. It was extremely mysterious. The dark aura outside was incomparably dense, but an eternal fruit was actually nurtured here. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, no one would have imagined that there was an eternal fruit in the black pool. After Ling Xiao accepted the eternity fruit, he did not consume it immediately. He remembered what the Life Grand Elder had said. It would be best if he could obtain a few more fruits of eternity. Only then would he be able to obtain as many blessings as possible from the eternal Heavenly Dao essence. Only in this way would he have a stronger foundation and accumulation after breaking through to the half-immortal Emperor realm. Ling Xiao was prepared to collect all the eternal fruits and consume them before breaking through to the half-immortal Emperor stage. After taking the fruit of eternity from the black pool, Ling Xiao did not stop. He immediately left the black pool and headed for the next fruit of eternity. Rumble. In the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield, in an incomparably mysterious region, immortal light was faintly discernible, and auspicious vapors were rising. There was not the slightest bit of dark aura here. Everything was pure and holy. It was as if this was not the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield, but some immortal mountain cave in the eternal immortal domain. Bai Qingxue and Bai Qingshuang looked around vigilantly, standing guard for Ling Xukong. Ning Xukong sat cross-legged under an ancient Bodhi tree. He had already consumed an eternal fruit nurtured by the Bodhi tree. Immortal light was faintly discernible around him. A vast and mysterious Heavenly Dao essence aura emanated from him, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Thunder and lightning surged, and heaven and earth shook. Behind him, shadows of chaos fiend gods and ancient immortal beasts appeared. It was a terrifying scene. A strong aura of a breakthrough emanated from his body. His cultivation base had also broken through to the half-immortal emperor stage. Ning Xukong slowly opened his eyes. Two incomparably sharp beams of divine light shot out, as if they could pierce through the void. Bai Qingshuang and Bai Qingxue couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with reverence and fanatical worship. Congratulations to Your Highness for breaking through to the half-immortal emperor stage. From now on, you will be invincible. Bai Qingxuang and Bai Qingxue said respectfully. I've just broken through to the half-immortal emperor stage. I'm still far from being invincible. Ning Xukong smiled faintly and slowly stood up. At this moment, his aura was more than 10 times stronger than before. Your Highness, are we going to continue looking for the eternal fruit? Bai Qingxue asked respectfully. No, we're not looking for the eternal fruit. We're going to hunt down the young geniuses of the Great Yin Immortal Court and the Creation Immortal Court. I believe that some of them have already found the eternal fruit. Ning Xukong licked his lips. His eyes revealed a trace of demonic and cold murderous intent. Yes. Bai Qingxue and Bai Qingxuang trembled and nodded respectfully. They didn't ask for the reason. They only knew that they only needed to carry out Ning Xukong's orders. They had already regarded themselves as Ning Xukong's women. They had absolute worship and loyalty to Ning Xukong. Even without Ning Xukong's explanation, they could vaguely guess that the 3 immortal courts had entered the heavenly ancient battlefield to hunt down the dark creatures. However, the 3 immortal courts were also competitors. In particular, the Truth Immortal Court and the Creation Immortal Court had been enemies for many years. They could understand why Ning Xukong wanted to hunt down the young geniuses of the other immortal courts. Moreover, as long as we kill all the young geniuses of the other immortal courts, the eternal fruits that appear in the heavenly ancient battlefield will naturally belong to the Truth Immortal Court. Qingxue Qingxuang, you followed me for so long. I don't have anything good to give you. Next, after I kill all the people of the other 2 immortal courts and obtain the eternal fruits, I'll give them to the 2 of you so that you can break through to the half-immortal emperor stage as soon as possible. Ning Xukong glanced at Bai Qingxuang and Bai Qingxue and smiled faintly. Thank you, Your Highness. Bai Qingxuang and Bai Qingxue's eyes were filled with gratitude. At this moment, an ordinary-looking young man with an ancient sword on his back stepped out of the void. He exuded a terrifying aura. His cultivation had also reached the half-immortal emperor stage. Your Highness, the elites of the Truth Immortal Court have gathered. We're waiting for your orders. The young man with an ancient sword on his back said calmly. Good Shimanju. You didn't let me down. You've successfully broken through to the half-immortal emperor stage. Next, let's go on a killing spree in the heavenly ancient battlefield. Ning Xukong said slowly. His eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. Around him, a formidable qi spread out. Bai Qingxuang and Bai Qingxue were mesmerized by it. Chapter 3456. The second fruit of eternity was located in the Hidden Dragon Abyss. The Hidden Dragon Abyss was a strange place, located between 2 ancient mountains. Legend had it that an expert from the Dragon Clan had made a breakthrough here, but he had passed away. The dragon's might permeated the place, and at the same time, the dark qi intertwined, forming a strange shape. Many people knew that the Hidden Dragon Abyss was extraordinary, and that there might be treasures hidden within. However, many people had come here to search for treasures upon hearing that the ancient battlefield had opened, but they had all returned empty-handed. Ling Xiao had not expected that there would be an fruit of eternity here. After leaving the Black Pool, he rushed towards the Hidden Dragon Abyss at an extremely fast speed. Before long, the Hidden Dragon Abyss appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Rumble! The abyss between the 2 mountains was like a giant dragon that was tens of thousands of miles long, exuding an ancient and vast dragon's might. However, there was also a strong dark qi gushing out from the abyss. According to the treasure map that Life Grand Elder had given him, the second fruit of eternity was in the Hidden Dragon Abyss. Although the dark qi was extremely dense here, there were no dark creatures here. After all, the Hidden Dragon Abyss was too close to the eternal immortal domains. To the dark creatures, this place was of no use. Ling Xiao did not hesitate and jumped into the Hidden Dragon Abyss. The Hidden Dragon Abyss was bottomless, and the dragon's might grew stronger the deeper Ling Xiao went. After diving for tens of thousands of feet, he finally reached the bottom of the Hidden Dragon Abyss. The dark qi was extremely dense here, and it was so dark that he could not even see his own fingers. However, Ling Xiao suddenly sensed a powerful aura. Boom! In front of his eyes, there was a blazing light rising. A young man in a golden dragon robe was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock. The dragon's might around him seemed to have formed a strange resonance with the hidden dragon abyss. It's him. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He did not expect to meet an acquaintance here. Who else could the young man in the golden dragon robe be but the Dragon Emperor's son? Ling Xiao, why are you here? The Dragon Emperor's son's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Ling Xiao. I heard that there are treasures in the hidden dragon abyss, so I came to look for them. Why are you here? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he asked indifferently. Of course I'm here to cultivate. You can search for treasures here, but don't disturb my cultivation. Prince Long glanced at Ling Xiao and said coldly. Originally, he wanted to directly chase Ling Xiao away, but when he thought of Ling Xiao's incomparably powerful battle prowess, he still felt a little hesitant. Although he was not afraid of Ling Xiao, the pure Dragon Emperor aura in the latent dragon abyss was very beneficial to his cultivation. If he rashly started a fight with Ling Xiao and destroyed the Dragon Emperor aura in this place, it would not be worth it. Sure. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered as he spoke indifferently. After all, even though he had a conflict with Prince Long in the past, both of them belonged to the Fortune Celestial Court. They were considered allies in the Heavenly Dao ancient battlefield. At this moment, since Prince Long was so tactful and did not arrogantly chase Ling Xiao away, Ling Xiao naturally could not be bothered with him. Activate. A light flickered in Ling Xiao's hand, and the Heavenly Law token appeared once again. The Heavenly Law token vibrated slightly, and runes were emitted from it. Ling Xiao was using the Heavenly Law token to find the seal of the Business Alliance of Immortal Dao. Not long after, Ling Xiao sensed a similar rune blossoming on the mountain wall in front of him. An indistinct seal appeared in front of Ling Xiao. When Prince Long saw the seal, he could not help but tremble. His eyes were filled with uncertainty. He had been cultivating here for a long time, but he had not sensed any treasures. How did Ling Xiao know that there were treasures here? Ling Xiao did not care about the doubts in Prince Long's heart. He walked towards the mountain wall, and the Heavenly Law token in his hand shone brightly. He gradually approached the seal, absorbing the aura and energy of the seal. In the end, the seal left behind by the Heavenly Law Business Alliance shattered completely with a crisp sound. A deep and ancient cave appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao walked straight into the cave. At this moment, Prince Long's eyes lit up. He was filled with curiosity. He did not continue cultivating, but followed Ling Xiao into the cave. Inside the cave, auspicious qi was rising, and celestial light was faintly discernible. A dense eternal heavenly law origin energy intertwined, and a small tree, about 3 feet long, appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was growing on a huge rock. On the small tree, there was a red fruit. It looked like a flame, and there were complicated and mysterious runes on it. It was the fruit of eternity. What? There isn't fruit of eternity here? Behind Ling Xiao, Prince Long's body shook. His eyes were filled with passion. He suddenly stretched out his claws and grabbed at the fruit of eternity. Get lost. Ling Xiao's eyes turned cold. His blood surged, and he threw a punch at Prince Long. At the same time, his other hand was like a sword. Sword chi rose, and he dug out the huge rock in front of him from the crack. Then, he waved his sleeve and kept it in his small world. Boom. Ling Xiao and Prince Long collided head-on in the void. Instantly, the surrounding mountains shook violently, and blazing light exploded. Ling Xiao did not move, but Prince Long retreated as if he had been hit by a terrifying attack. Ling Xiao, this is the place where the ancestors of the dragon tribe fell. The fruit of eternity was formed when the ancestors of the dragon tribe transformed into Dao, and the eternal heavenly law origin descended. Therefore, this fruit of eternity belongs to the Dragon Emperor Valley. Please hand it over. Prince Long's face turned pale, and his eyes were filled with coldness. He said slowly to Ling Xiao, hand over the fruit of eternity? I'm afraid you think too much. If you don't want to die, get lost now. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Ling Xiao glanced at Prince Long coldly, then turned around and walked out. The fruit of eternity was extremely precious. It was reasonable for Prince Long to be greedy. However, if Prince Long was foolish enough to provoke Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao would not mind making him pay a heavy price. Good, very good. Ling Xiao, you stole the fruit of eternity from the Dragon Emperor Valley. Sooner or later, I'll take it back with my own hands. To Ling Xiao's surprise, Prince Dragon Emperor did not choose to attack him. Instead, he looked extremely gloomy as he stared at Ling Xiao coldly. It was not that Prince Long did not want to attack, but that he was not confident. However, he was sure that the Fruit of Eternity was a treasure left behind by the ancestors of the dragon tribe when they transformed into Dao. Naturally, he was not willing to let it fall into Ling Xiao's hands. Therefore, he had decided to contact the daughter of the true phoenix and the second prince to see if they could snatch the Fruit of Eternity from Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao glanced at Prince Long with a faint smile. Then he turned into a stream of light and left the latent dragon abyss. Chapter 3457. The location of the third eternal fruit was called Taiping Mountain. Ling Xiao was the last to go to Taiping Mountain to look for the eternal fruit because it was the furthest. More importantly, the eternal fruit on Taiping Mountain was hidden in the belly of the mountain. Moreover, Taiping Mountain looked extremely ordinary. Ordinary people would not even know that it was called Taiping Mountain. Therefore, the eternal fruit was the safest place. However, Ling Xiao did not expect that the safest eternal fruit would have an accident. Among the Fortune Immortal Court's people, Ling Xiao left the group and chose to act alone. Di Honghuan did not follow the Crown Prince Li Wuji and the second Prince Li Wushuang. She also chose to act alone. Coincidentally, Di Honghuan found a king-grade spiritual herb not far from Taiping Mountain. The king-grade spiritual herb was very special. It was a green spirit celestial herb that could be used to refine green spirit celestial pills. It could increase one's chances of breaking through to the quasi-immortal emperor stage and strengthen one's foundation. In addition, the green spirit celestial herb was almost extinct in the outside world. Therefore, the green spirit celestial herb was extremely rare. Just as Di Honghuan was about to collect the green spirit celestial herb, the people from the Great Yin Kingdom arrived. It was the purple-robed young man from the Great Yin Kingdom, Zhou Yuan. When Zhou Yuan saw the green spirit celestial herb, he was shocked. When he saw that Di Honghuan was alone, he immediately became greedy. He wanted to take the king-grade celestial herb from Di Honghuan with his advantage in numbers. However, Di Honghuan was not to be trifled with. She was the little princess of the Radiance Celestial Court, and had all kinds of celestial artifacts. Although she was besieged by Zhou Yuan and hundreds of celestial kings, she was still evenly matched with Zhou Yuan's group under the protection of various powerful celestial artifacts and powerful formations. However, such a terrifying battle also affected Taiping Mountain and caused it to be destroyed. Then, the seal left behind by the Heavenly Dao Business Union on Peace Mountain was completely exposed to everyone. Others might not know about the seal of the Heavenly Law Business Alliance, but Zhou Yuan was very clear about it. He was lucky enough to see the seal of the Heavenly Law Business Alliance, so he knew at a glance that it was a powerful formation left behind to seal the treasure. Furthermore, there were 9 layers to the seal. A treasure that could make the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance use 9 layers of seals to seal it must be world-shaking and incomparably precious. Zhou Yuan immediately thought of the eternal fruit. Thus, while he ordered his men to continue attacking Di Honghuan, he personally took action to destroy the seal left behind by the Heavenly Law Business Alliance and retrieve the treasure within. At this moment, Ling Xiao arrived at Taiping Mountain and saw the scene in front of him. Hundreds of celestial kings surrounded Di Honghuan and unleashed their killing moves. Countless powerful spells and immortal weapons bombarded the defensive immortal weapons and immortal formations around Di Honghuan. On the other side, Zhou Yuan led several hundred immortal kings and similarly executed powerful divine abilities. They wanted to use brute force to break the seal left behind by the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He did not expect the people of the Great Yin Immortal Court to appear at Taiping Mountain and discover the place where the eternal fruit was sealed. At this moment, Di Honghuan also noticed Ling Xiao in the void and immediately revealed an extremely joyful expression. "Ling Xiao, come and save me." Di Hongwuan hurriedly shouted at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not immediately take action. Instead, he said indifferently, Di Hongwuan, don't you have the Sovereign of Light body? It seems that your Sovereign of Light body is not that great. You can't even deal with the siege of a group of immortal kings. Don't mock and ridicule me. The main thing is that there are some problems with my body, causing my strength to be greatly reduced. Otherwise, do you think you can surround this princess with these rotten fish and shrimps? Di Hongwuan said somewhat helplessly and unwillingly. Who dares to be so presumptuous in the territory of the great Yin Immortal Court? If you don't want to die, scram. An expert at the peak of the ninth heaven of the Immortal King realm looked at Ling Xiao with incomparable vigilance and coldness as he shouted coldly. Ling Xiao, save me quickly. If I really die here, you won't be able to find that place. Di Hongwuan looked at Ling Xiao in the void and yelled anxiously. Ling Xiao's expression was indifferent. Light shone in his palm, and the sky-swallowing sword appeared. The sword in his hand spewed out a dazzling light. He pointed at the many immortal kings and said indifferently, let her go, or don't blame my sword for being merciless. At the same time, Zhou Yuan, who was breaking the seal, also noticed Ling Xiao. He instantly flew over and stared at Ling Xiao with incomparable coldness as he said, You're from the Creation Immortal Court? If you don't want to die, scram. Your Creation Immortal Court can't even fend off the Truth Immortal Court. Now you want to offend the Great Yin Immortal Court? Do you know who she is? She's the little princess of the Light Immortal Court, Di Hongwuan. Your Great Yin Immortal Court is just a remote immortal court. How can it be compared to the Light Immortal Court in the Central Immortal Domain? You don't know what kind of trouble you've caused for the Great Yin Immortal Court. If you don't let her go, I'm afraid not only you but also the Great Yin Immortal Court will be finished. Ling Xiao said indifferently with a hint of mockery at the corners of his mouth. What? The Light Immortal Court? Zhou Yuan's body trembled, and a trace of undetectable panic flashed in his eyes. He had naturally heard of the Light Immortal Court. It was one of the most powerful immortal courts in the Central Immortal Domain. It had a true immortal emperor overseeing it, and it had always suppressed everything. Not to mention the Great Yin Immortal Court. Even the Great Yin Immortal Court, the Creation Immortal Court, and the Truth Immortal Court combined couldn't compare to the Light Immortal Court. He had never thought that the person they were besieging would be the little princess of the Light Immortal Court. Cut the crap. How dare you use the Light Immortal Court to scare me? The Light Immortal Court is an invincible force. How could they let their princess come here? Boy, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Zhou Yuan's eyes flashed with killing intent. Lightning flashed in his palm, and a purple battle saber appeared. He held the purple battle saber in his hand, and his killing intent surged as he slashed at Ling Xiao. Zhou Yuan's heart was already filled with killing intent. What Ling Xiao said was too serious. Although he didn't know whether Ling Xiao was telling the truth, he already had the intention to kill him. He decided to kill Ling Xiao and Di Hongwuan. Even if Di Hongwuan was really the little princess of the Light Immortal Court, no one would know that she had died in his hands. As the divine son of the Zhou clan, Zhou Yuan was extremely powerful. He had the purple heaven's sacred body, and was a natural saint. He was extremely powerful and could control the power of lightning. He slashed out with his saber, and it was as if millions of saber lights had appeared between heaven and earth, enveloping Ling Xiao. Then the millions of saber lights condensed into one, turning into a giant saber of lightning that seemed to be able to cut the world apart. It was going to split Ling Xiao in half. Boom. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply, and the heaven-devouring sword bloomed with dazzling light. Sword chi swept across the sky. It was as if all things had been destroyed, and it was the origin of heaven and earth. It contained the supreme truth. The sword light seemed to have penetrated everything and turned into eternity. Kach! The thunderbolts that filled the sky were swept away by Ling Xiao's sword. Sword chi soared into the air, its momentum undiminished. After destroying the incomparably sharp blade light, it continued to press towards Zhou Yuanheng. Chapter 3458. Zhou Yuan's expression changed drastically. He did not expect Ling Xiao's combat strength to be so terrifying. That sword strike made him feel an indescribable sense of danger. Purple chi rose from his palm, and in an instant, a small purple shield appeared. The small purple shield was a powerful quasi-emperor weapon. Mysterious runes were intertwined on it, and it exuded the power of the eternal heavenly Tao. It blocked in front of the heaven-devouring sword. Boom! The small purple shield trembled violently, and the runes on it bloomed with dazzling light. However, under the sword chi of Ling Xiao's origin sword, the runes were destroyed one after another. In the end, the small purple shield dimmed a little. Zhou Yuan felt an unparalleled divine power, and he was sent flying. Zhou Yuan's eyes were filled with disbelief and pain. The small purple shield's defense was unparalleled, and it was an incomparably precious treasure to him. However, it was damaged by Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring sword. In an instant, an indescribable fear of Ling Xiao rose in Zhou Yuan's heart. He did not expect Ling Xiao's combat strength to be so terrifying. Even his gaze towards Ling Xiao became solemn. However, after Ling Xiao sent Zhou Yuan flying, he didn't seem to care about him at all. He charged forward with his sword in hand. Sword chi swept across the void and slashed down at the hundreds of true immortal kings surrounding Di Hongwan. Boom! In the sky, a dazzling sword light that was 10,000 miles long seemed to appear. It contained an unparalleled power that could suppress everything, and it descended majestically. Those immortal kings were shocked and angry. They all unleashed their strongest cultivation. Rays of immortal light soared into the sky, and powerful immortal weapons swept across the void. Hundreds of immortal kings attacked at the same time, and the momentum was incomparably vast. It was like a torrent that soared into the sky and collided with Ling Xiao's sword light. Rumble! The sword light annihilated everything. Although the torrent looked majestic, it was extremely weak and could not withstand the power of Ling Xiao's heaven-devouring sword. In an instant, the rays of immortal light were destroyed, and powerful immortal weapons flew out. On the other hand, the bodies of those few hundred immortal kings trembled violently, and they suddenly spat out mouthfuls of blood before they retreated. At that moment, Di Hongwan saw an opportunity, and instantly soared into the sky, escaping from the encirclement of many immortal kings. Her eyes were filled with excitement and amazement. It was not that she had not seen Ling Xiao fight before, but this time, Ling Xiao had personally come to save her. It was a very different feeling. Looking at Ling Xiao, who held the heaven-swallowing sword in his hand and was surrounded by celestial light, even Di Hongwan's eyes shone with a strange light. It was as if there were countless worlds around him. "Who are you?" Zhou Yuan's expression was incomparably dark. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared at Ling Xiao. In the great Yan immortal court, he was one of the peerless geniuses. With the purple cloud sacred body, he was a natural-born saint. Even the Princess Royal, Yan Hongya, relied on him. Naturally, his arrogance had been nurtured. However, after exchanging blows with Ling Xiao today, he truly understood what it meant to say that there was always someone better than him. Ling Xiao was so powerful that he did not seem like an immortal king. If he had not sensed that Ling Xiao's aura was still at the ninth heaven of the immortal king realm, he would have thought that Ling Xiao had broken through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. You don't even know who he is, and you dare to make an enemy out of him? He is ranked first on the Origin Heaven Tao tablet, the peerless genius who suppressed against the heavens, Ling Xiao. Di Hongwan sneered, her eyes full of mockery. "What, you are Ling Xiao?" Zhou Yuan's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with horror. The Origin Heaven Tao tablet contained the origin of the eternal heavenly Tao. Although he'd taken out the Origin Heavenly Tao Cup in the minor world of the Heavenly Tao Business Alliance, anyone who managed to climb onto one of the steels would have their steels appear in the skies above the eternal immortal realms, where countless almighty experts would be able to sense it. Although Zhou Yuan couldn't sense the Origin Heavenly Tao steel, a quasi-immortal emperor ancestor of the Zhou clan could sense the unusual movement of the Origin Heavenly Tao steel, and saw the name Ling Xiao rush to the top of the Origin Heavenly Tao steel, suppressing defying the heavens and becoming the #1 immortal king. What kind of glory was it to reach the top of the Origin Heaven Tao tablet? Zhou Yuan had a deep impression of Ling Xiao's name. Previously, quasi-immortal Emperor Quoking Mountain had said that he wanted to kill Ling Xiao, and he had thought that they just had the same name. But now that Di Hongyuan had spoken, he realized that Ling Xiao was really the Ling Xiao who had climbed to the top of the Origin Heaven Dao tablet. Zhou Yuan's expression was extremely ugly, but he still said coldly, "Ling Xiao, although you are talented, the Great Yin Empire is not afraid. Since she is your friend, you can take her away, and the Great Yin Empire will not pursue the matter." Although Zhou Yuan's tone seemed very stiff, everyone knew that he had given in. After all, Ling Xiao was too famous. He ranked first on the Origin Heaven Dao tablet, and his talent was unprecedented. What kind of heaven-defying aptitude was this? Moreover, Ling Xiao had just shown that he could destroy everything. He could not stop Ling Xiao at all, so he could only give in. "You want us to leave? It's not that easy." "Boy, didn't you just want me to hand over the green spirit immortal grass? If you want me to leave, give me 100 heavenly Dao source crystals." "No, you are the ones who should leave. Give me 100 heavenly Dao source crystals, and I will let you go." Di Hongyuan sneered. "Don't go too far." Zhou Yuan's eyes flashed coldly as he stared at Di Hongyuan. "She is right. You are the ones who should leave, not us. The treasure in the seal is mine. You can leave. Otherwise, don't blame my sword for being merciless." Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably indifferent as he coldly glanced at Zhou Yuan. "What?" This time, Zhou Yuan was completely enraged, and his eyes were filled with hostility. It should be said that the eternal fruit was very likely in the 9 seals. Even if it was not the eternal fruit, it could be some kind of powerful inheritance or treasure. How could he give it up? Not only did Di Hongyuan and Ling Xiao want him to hand over 100 heavenly Dao source crystals, but they also wanted to snatch the treasure in the seal. They were simply going too far. A light flashed in Ling Xiao's palm, and the Heavenly Dao token appeared. "I am from the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance." And the seal was left behind by a senior of the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. The sealed treasure is naturally a treasure of the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. That's all I have to say. If you want to die, you can try to snatch it. Ling Xiao said indifferently. But his incomparably calm words contained an indescribable domineering and majestic aura. Chapter 3459. Seeing the Heavenly Dao token in Ling Zhao's hand, Zhou Yuan's face instantly turned extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with shock. He did not expect Ling Xiao to have the Heavenly Dao token. It should be known that the Heavenly Dao token was something that only the Grand Elders of the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance had. There were only a few dozen Grand Elders in the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance, and each of them held a high position. Even the Lord of the Immortal Court would treat them with respect. Ling Xiao is related to the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance? A sliver of fear immediately rose in Zhou Yuan's heart. However, when he looked at the sealed item in the distance, his eyes were filled with unwillingness. He was able to sense that there was definitely an incomparably precious treasure hidden within the sealed item. He was filled with unwillingness to hand it over to someone else just like that. "Ling Xiao, where did you get the Heavenly Dao token? There are a few dozen Grand Elders in the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance, but I have never heard of you." Zhou Yuan stared at Ling Xiao and asked. "Grand Elder Life gave it to me." Ling Xiao said indifferently. "Grand Elder Life?" Zhou Yuan's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with awe. He naturally knew who Grand Elder Life was. After all, Grand Elder Life Spirit was one of the Grand Elders with the most authority, status, and longevity in the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Yet he had actually personally handed the Heavenly Dao token to Ling Xiao? Thinking of this, Zhou Yuan's fear of Ling Xiao grew even stronger. "Let's go," Zhou Yuan said through gritted teeth. Then he turned around and left with the hundreds of immortal kings. The Heavenly Dao Business Alliance was very powerful. Although he yearned for the treasure in the sealed item, he did not dare to offend the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance. Otherwise, not to mention the Zhou family, even the Great Yin Immortal Court might be in big trouble. In the blink of an eye, Zhou Yuan and the immortal kings of the Great Yin Immortal Court disappeared from this area. "Well, I didn't expect you to have the Heavenly Dao token. Could it be that Grand Elder Life saw your extraordinary talent and took you in as his disciple?" Di Hongwan's eyes were filled with curiosity as she looked at Ling Xiao and asked, "That has nothing to do with you." Ling Xiao replied faintly before walking towards the sealed item. The sealed item in front of him looked like a stone box with strange patterns on it. It was ancient and mysterious. The experts of the Heavenly Law Business Union had left 9 layers of seals on it. Ling Xiao held the Heavenly Dao token, which emitted a dazzling light, and slowly approached the stone box. Following this, the runes on the stone box glowed brightly as the seals on it began to break apart on their own. In the end, all 9 seals were broken. Ling Xiao opened the stone box, and a dazzling fruit of eternity floated up, releasing a dazzling light. "This is actually an eternal fruit." Di Hongwan shuddered and couldn't help but exclaim. She did not expect that the item left behind by the Heavenly Dao Business Alliance would be the eternal fruit. At this moment, even Di Hongwan was tempted when she saw the fruit of eternity. "Ling Xiao, how about you give this fruit of eternity to me? Don't worry, I won't take it for free. I'll exchange it with you. Whether it's the Pre-Emperor's treasure technique, Boundary Emperor weapon, precious immortal herbs, or immortal pills. As long as you ask, I'll get it for you." Di Hongwan smiled at Ling Xiao. "No." Ling Xiao glanced at her nonchalantly. Di Hongwan was unwilling to give up. She took out all the king-grade immortal herbs, Boundary Emperor weapon, and all sorts of secret techniques, intending to exchange them with Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was unmoved and rejected her without hesitation. "If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave." Ling Xiao frowned as he looked at Di Hongwan. "Of course. Ling Xiao, I've sensed the location of the Light Immortal Emperor's inheritance. Shall we go and look for the treasures left behind by the Light Immortal Emperor?" Di Hongwan was not angry. She smiled at Ling Xiao. After all, the Light Immortal Emperor's inheritance was the most important thing to her. Di Hongwan had the Light Supreme Body, and so did the Light Immortal Emperor. Therefore, the deeper Di Hongwan went into the heavenly ancient battlefield, the more she could feel that a strange place was calling her. The Light Immortal Emperor's inheritance? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He nodded and said sure. Since Di Hongwan said that the Light Immortal Emperor's inheritance was in the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield, it should not affect his search for the last fruit of eternity. Therefore, Ling Xiao agreed after thinking for a moment. Under Di Hongwan's guidance, Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan went into the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield. In the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield, there was an extremely huge abyss where endless dark energy surged out. It was like a black sea, enveloping a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. There was pure dark energy everywhere. There were no signs of life, and the eternal heavenly way's power could not be sensed. There were only endless dark creatures. Above the huge abyss, there was an ancient dark altar. Ancient runes shone brightly on it. On the altar, there were 10 dark creatures with extremely terrifying auras. They were all tens of thousands of feet tall, and had different shapes. Some were like humans, some were like demonic beasts, and some were of strange shapes. At this moment, all of them were kneeling on the altar respectfully, as if they were welcoming an extremely noble figure. The light on the dark altar grew brighter and brighter. An extremely dense dark energy gushed out. In the next moment, the void seemed to have been torn apart. Amidst the endless dark energy, a figure with a mysterious aura stepped out. It was a young man in a black robe. His face was handsome and demonic, and his eyes were filled with cold and merciless killing intent. He stood there like the source of the darkness, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. "Greetings, Dark Crown Prince." The 10 powerful dark creatures said at the same time. Their eyes were filled with respect and awe. "Rise. Is this the two-realm battlefield? I can already feel that those fat creatures from the immortal realm are exuding an intoxicating aura." Dark Crown Prince said slowly. He took a deep breath, and his eyes were filled with intoxication. "Your Highness, we have completed our investigation. This time, the 3 immortal courts of the immortal realm have entered the battlefield. There are a total of more than 20,000 immortal kings. As for the number of quasi-immortal emperors, we don't know," a creature of darkness respectfully reported. This battlefield is restricted by the laws of the two realms. It's impossible for quasi-immortal emperors to come here. Therefore, they must be peak immortal kings. They want to find the eternal fruit here and break through to the quasi-immortal emperor realm. However, even if they break through, they'll only be early-stage quasi-immortal emperors. They're only fit to be our food. The Prince of Darkness sneered. Then, his gaze fell on the 10 creatures of darkness in front of him. He said indifferently, "Venerables, immediately gather all the undead experts and form an army. I want to wipe out the people of the 3 immortal courts in one fell swoop." "Yes, Your Highness." The 10 dark creatures bowed and said. Then, all the dark creatures in this abyss let out earth-shattering cheers. The dark light was dazzling and surging, spreading in all directions. Chapter 3460. What the people of the 3 immortal courts didn't know was that the originally scattered dark creatures had united, and even formed a dark army, because of the arrival of a mysterious dark prince. The people of the 3 immortal courts were still hunting the creatures of darkness in the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield. At the same time, they were searching for the fruit of eternity and various other treasures. Some people even found the inheritance left behind by ancient experts and obtained supreme opportunities. In the beginning, they were still nervous and vigilant, feeling that there were dangers everywhere in the heavenly ancient battlefield. But after they killed some creatures of darkness, they didn't care too much. Anyway, the creatures of darkness were so weak that they couldn't even withstand a single blow. Therefore, they gradually placed their focus on finding all kinds of treasures and opportunities. They didn't care too much about killing creatures of darkness. At the same time, Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan also came to the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield. In front of them was an undulating mountain range. It looked like a huge dark dragon lying dormant on the ground, exuding an extremely dense dark aura. "Ling Xiao, I can feel that the inheritance place of the Emperor of Light should be in this mountain range. However, the dark energy here is so dense that I'm afraid there are many dark creatures. There might even be quasi-immortal Emperor dark creatures. We must be careful." Di Hongwan said slowly to Ling Xiao. "Let's go. If we encounter any dark creatures, we can just kill them all." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply. The sky-devouring sword appeared in his hand. He held the sky-devouring sword in his hand and walked forward. However, what surprised Di Hongwan and Ling Xiao was that they didn't find a single creature of darkness even though the dark energy was extremely dense. What's going on? With such dense darkness energy, there should be creatures of darkness appearing. Why isn't there a single creature of darkness here? Di Hongwan's eyes were full of confusion. Didn't you notice? Logically speaking, the closer we get to the depths of the heavenly ancient battlefield, the closer we are to the lair of the dark creatures. There should be more and more dark creatures. But as we head deeper into the heavenly Tao ancient battlefield, we've discovered fewer and fewer creatures of darkness along the way. Don't you think it's a little strange? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said slowly, "You're right. It seems like something has happened to the dark creatures. Otherwise, they're gathering in a secret place and plotting something." Di Hongwan's face turned serious. "No matter what they are plotting, it's not something we can know now. Let's find the place of inheritance of the immortal Emperor of Light first. If we can get the inheritance of the immortal Emperor of Light, we'll find a way to investigate the traces of the dark creatures. I heard that most of the powerful immortal Emperor precious techniques, created by the Radiance Immortal Emperor, were targeted at the creatures of darkness. If we can obtain his inheritance, it should be of great benefit to us in dealing with the creatures of darkness," Ling Xiao said with a deep gaze. "I understand. Follow me." Di Hongwanshan took a deep breath and said slowly. At this point, Di Hongwan's senses became sharper and sharper. She could sense that in the belly of the mountain range before her, there was a vaguely familiar, yet unfamiliar power that was attracting her, causing her to continuously walk forward. Di Hongwan led Ling Xiao through the mountains and valleys, entering the belly of the mountain. After walking a few hundred feet into the belly of the mountain, there was no trace of light. They could not even see their own fingers. At this moment, an ancient black stone door appeared in front of them. The black stone door was intertwined with dark runes, and it was filled with the most intense darkness origin. Are you sure this is the place of inheritance of the Radiant's immortal emperor? Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a strange look. These dark runes were obviously left behind by the creatures of darkness. It was a stretch to say that this was the place of inheritance of the Radiant's immortal emperor. If it wasn't for the cover of the dark energy, the inheritance of the Radiant's immortal emperor would have fallen into the hands of the creatures of darkness. If you don't believe me, take out the stone statue. Then everything will be clear. Looking at the black stone door in front of her, Di Hongwan seemed a little sad and said in a low voice. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. Light flashed in his palm, and the dark stone statue appeared. Buzz. The dark stone statue trembled slightly and emitted a mysterious light. It floated up from Ling Xiao's palm. Then Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan both saw that the dark runes on the black stone door were emitting an extremely intense dark light. It kept pouring into the dark stone statue. The two types of dark energy intertwined with each other and bloomed with a dazzling light. It lit up the belly of the mountain like it was daytime. In the end, all the dark runes on the black stone door disappeared. The dark energy around it also dissipated. It became as white as jade and sparkled like glass. It was mysterious and unfathomable. At this moment, the stone door had already become dazzling. It contained the eternal heavenly ways origin aura and slowly opened. Let's go. Di Hongwan's eyes were filled with anticipation. Then, she pulled Ling Xiao and directly entered the stone door. Rumble. After they entered the stone door closed again. Behind the stone door, there seemed to be a dazzling world of light. Here, immortal light rose and auspicious air drifted. It was completely different from the scene in the Heavenly Way ancient battlefield. Endless light illuminated this space, turning it into a place of eternal light. In the distant sea of clouds, an ancient staircase snaked up into the air, where the radiant immortal palace floated. Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan slowly lifted their heads and looked at the radiant immortal palace. This radiant immortal palace was ancient and mysterious. They didn't know what kind of immortal metal it was made of, but it exuded an ancient and weathered aura. At this moment, Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan both had a feeling. This radiant immortal palace was the place of inheritance that the radiant immortal emperor had left behind. Let's go. Di Hongwan's eyes were filled with excitement. She stepped onto the winding cloud staircase with Ling Xiao and walked toward the radiant immortal palace. End of chapter. Chapter 3461. The light celestial palace was majestic and majestic. It sat in the chaos and exuded an immortal and eternal aura. Anyone who looked at it would be in awe. Ling Xiao and Di Hongwan walked up the winding stairs. They passed through the sea of clouds and the huge square filled with celestial light and auspicious vapor. They came to the light celestial palace. The two arrived at the light celestial palace. The ancient door was tightly shut. There were strange patterns on it, and it gave off a faint light. It looked mysterious. The light celestial palace looked peaceful and was filled with the majesty of an immortal emperor. But for some reason, when Ling Xiao came here, he actually felt a little uneasy. Buzz. At this moment, Ling Xiao suddenly felt the tree of world in his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows tremble slightly. The ripples emitted by the tree of world shocked Ling Xiao. Could it be? Ling Xiao thought to himself. At this moment, Di Hongwan's eyes were filled with excitement and anticipation. Hurry up, take out the statue of the light celestial emperor. Only the statue of the light celestial emperor can open the light celestial palace. Di Hongwan hurriedly said to Ling Xiao. Seeing that Ling Xiao was hesitating, Di Hongwan continued. Don't worry, I only want one treasure in the light celestial palace. Everything else, including the inheritance of the light celestial emperor, is yours. She seemed to think that Ling Xiao was unwilling to take out the statue of the light celestial emperor, so she was a little anxious. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and finally nodded. Okay. Light flashed in his palm, and the statue of the light celestial emperor appeared again. Seeing the statue of the light celestial emperor, Di Hongwan took a deep breath. Then, A dazzling radiance blossomed from her body as she activated her sovereign of light physique. Her Taoist connotation intertwined around her, and the laws of nature permeated the air. She looked like a supreme being who had suppressed all eternity. She exuded a majestic and mysterious aura. Buzz. The statue of the light celestial emperor seemed to have sensed the supreme light body on Di Honghuan. It also bloomed with dazzling light. All of a sudden, there seemed to be a wonderful resonance between the stone statue of the immortal emperor of light and Di Honghuan. Crack. With a crisp sound, the statue suddenly shattered. A dazzling rune rose from the statue, exuding the vast power of the eternal way of heaven. It slowly flew toward the two doors of the Radiant's immortal palace. Rumble. The rune fused with the two doors of the heavenly palace of light, making the two doors of the heavenly palace of light burst with dazzling light. Then, with a clear and ancient sound, the two doors slowly opened. From the Radiant's immortal palace, boundless light gushed out as the vast might of the eternal heavenly Tao permeated the air. It was as though a true supreme immortal emperor was suppressing the ancient times, destroying everything. His aura was terrifying to the extreme. Ling Xiao and Di Honghuan both trembled, and their faces paled. That was the might of an immortal emperor. Ordinary people simply couldn't withstand it. After the Radiant's immortal palace of light opened, Di Honghuan and Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of anticipation. Then they slowly walked into the Radiant's immortal palace of light. In the Radiant's immortal palace of light, starlight shone and chaotic mist rose. It was like an ocean of light, extremely mysterious and unpredictable. In front of Ling Xiao and Di Honghuan, in the dazzling void, a middle-aged man with a jade-like face and a majestic aura sat cross-legged. He wore a Radiance Emperor's robe and a jade crown on his head. His eyes were tightly shut, as if he was in a deep sleep. However, there was a king's aura that could sweep through the ancient times and dominate the 9 heavens. One look at him, and people couldn't help but want to worship him. However, Ling Xiao and Di Honghuan could sense that this middle-aged man had no vitality left. The person sitting cross-legged in front of them was just a corpse. Or it could be called an emperor's corpse. That's right, this person in front of them was the Radiant's immortal emperor. Di Honghuan's body trembled and shone brightly. She had the supreme radiance body, and her talent was unparalleled throughout the ages. She had the same constitution as the Radiant's immortal emperor. At this moment, the Radiant's immortal emperor in front of them seemed to be emitting a dazzling light. He had the same origin as Di Honghuan. That was the original aura of the supreme radiance body. Even though the Radiant's immortal emperor had died, the emperor's corpse still had the aura of the supreme radiance body. At the same time, Ling Xiao also noticed that there were 3 mysterious treasures floating above the Radiant's immortal emperor's head. One was a sword, one was a book, and one was a jade box. The ancient sword was filled with sword qi. It was extremely sharp and contained traces of the eternal way of the heavens. It was obviously not an ordinary item. The book was also intertwined with divine chains of order. Vast Dharma laws rose and Taoist connotation gushed out. It should contain the inheritance of the Radiant's immortal emperor. It was very likely the legendary Radiant's Imperial Sutra. As for the last jade box, although it was filled with dazzling immortal light and auspicious qi, it was very mysterious. No one knew what was inside. However, Ling Xiao knew that although the sword looked extraordinary, it was not the Radiant's immortal emperor's eternal emperor weapon. After all, the Radiant's immortal emperor's eternal emperor weapon had been left in the Radiant's immortal court. Although the sword was also very extraordinary, it was still far from being an eternal emperor weapon. Your descendant, Di Honghuan, pays her respects to the ancestor. Di Honghuan took a deep breath, and then respectfully knelt in front of the Radiant's immortal emperor. She bowed 3 times and kowtowed 9 times with an extremely solemn expression. After she bowed, she stood up and said slowly to Ling Xiao, "Ling Xiao, I only want the jade box. I can give you the sword and the Radiant's Imperial Sutra. I can give you the jade box, but can you tell me the origin of these 3 treasures?" Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said indifferently. At this moment, all his attention was on the Radiant's immortal emperor. Since he entered the Radiant's immortal palace, He had felt an extremely strange aura from the Radiant's immortal emperor. He had to be extremely vigilant. At the same time, in his sea of consciousness between his eyebrows, the Tree of World was trembling more and more violently. Yes, that sword is also called the Radiant Sword. It has the same origin as the Radiant Sword, the Eternal Emperor weapon of the Radiant's immortal court. Back then, the Radiant's immortal emperor wanted to refine a second Eternal Emperor weapon, but he died in the Heavenly Tao ancient battlefield before he could succeed. Therefore, this sword can only be regarded as a sword embryo, not a complete Eternal Emperor weapon. However, even if this sword is not a complete Eternal Emperor weapon, its material is a true Supreme Emperor weapon. If you can nourish it with your primordial spirit, when you break through to the Immortal Emperor realm, this sword will definitely be promoted to an Eternal Emperor weapon. Di Hongwan said slowly, her eyes filled with emotions. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.